And there we are.
Hey, Wooly, how you doing, man?
Good.
Been a long time since I spoke to you 30 seconds ago setting up the podcast.
Yes. Bovid No More, as they say.
In the chat, yes.
Yes.
Get out of here, Bovid.
Well, if you're a Crip, then you get COVID, but if you're a Blood, then you get Bovid, because you can't be getting no C's. You know, can't be. You got to rep your set even while you're sick.
That's the stupidest fucking thing I've heard in an hour.
Hey, man. Repping your set means that certain letters of the alphabet are inaccessible to you.
So it seems like Las Vegas as a location seems to be unsafe from a biohazardous perspective, because FanFest and Evo unshockingly exploded with the coronavirus.
It sure did, and for a long time now, the term that was used was the Ebola virus, right? In previous years, going way back to the last decade, you'd come back from it and you'd be like, did you get Ebola? It's like, yeah, and that would be just conflu, in that context or so. But between that and the FanFest bit, it seems as well as if Eris is the new variant that's been going around, and that is what that's the shortcut. It's like EG5, I think, is the term. But in any case,
apparently you're supposed to call it Aerith now.
Okay, well, so yeah, great gospel those lungs, man. No, so that's happening, and that wave was also, at the same time, which then leads to the big infections, and yeah, so after having no vid for the entire time, eventually I got hit. Happily and thankfully, I can say that well, obviously now I've feeling better and did my double negative test and can confirm that that's gone. So even though the regulations have kind of been like, oh yeah, after 5 days you can, so I'm like, we're gonna stick to the original, 10, and then do your double test and see how that goes, because the way when Punch Bomb got it, me being in the same space, I managed to avoid it, right? And
that's wild to me.
But we had
how somebody who lives a husband and wife or parent and their kids could somehow dodge it.
Well, we were we took it seriously, and we kind of were being smart about how to maintain our distance and all that within the same space even. So and fortunately there was a second bathroom, so we were able to make that work as well. Yeah. And so same thing in this case. Thankfully, the way the new place is split up, we also have a second bathroom, so we were able to create a division point and keep mostly separated, and so she managed to dodge getting it this time as well, and that's awesome. I'm really, really happy, because I definitely wouldn't want anything like that to happen. That would suck.
I'm just thinking Evo specifically, fighting game tournament, seems like the level of proximity there is going to be higher than at any other event, right? It's the only place it's no, you must sit 1 foot away from somebody. Must.
There is that. Oh, your frame is being weird for some reason. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay. See
myself.
I know what happened. Okay.
What happened?
Well, so I brought a monitor to Evo for a setup, and because baggage handling does what it does, the monitor broke in transit. So when I pulled it out and plugged it in, it was all fucked up. So I had to. So this is a different monitor that I'm using, and that means that the resolutions are off, which means that things are looking weird. Anyway,
I've traveled enough times now that my perspective is don't bring anything anywhere.
I know, but the thing is like, it's because I'm the guy that brings the setup, and I'm the person that goes the extra mile to like get the setup for the room. I bring the stuff to make the TV work, or if there's a HDMI or whatever. It's become a thing at this point. So,
Well, you fucked yourself by being nice, Wooly.
I suppose I have, because the monitor fucking broke, and that sucks. But I got a replacement in the form of the Evo monitors, that can do 240 hertz and so on. So it's like, yeah, that's nice. At least I can, plug directly in and see how that feels. Because a lot of fighting game players have been talking about, like, when you play on something that is above 60 hertz and you can properly fucking feel your reactions get better and stuff. So, yeah, the Sony, whatever it was called.
The Sony whatever the fuck.
Anyway. So I had to get a new monitor in the meantime.
That's why I'm being fucky on the other monitor right now.
A little bit. I'll fix that afterwards, but it's fine for now. So in terms of how it more or less went, so it was fortunately really not that bad. So I had about 2 days of feeling the body load of like the flu part of it.
Is this round 1 for you or round 2?
I've never had it before.
Okay, so this is round 1. So you dodged the whole time. Wow, you dodged it for a while, and
the entire time, literally the entire time. This is the first time I've ever gotten it. Yeah. And the Sony InZone, that's the name of the monitor. Yes, thank you. This is pretty much this is the first time getting it, and again, thankfully, really just not the worst run. Perhaps it's the variant, or perhaps it's the booster, whatever the case is. Ultimately, I got it, and it was about 2 days of symptoms, 2 days of the body load of feeling the flu, 2 days of feeling, just more phlegminess and the exhaustion and all that. I saw some people, a lot of you guys were, playing detective and going like, oh, well, you mentioned your throat tinkling after Evo, and so that was a red flag. But it's like, actually, no, that really came from a weekend of yelling, because my throat had nothing to do, there was not a ton of those throat-related symptoms. Like there was some coughing, like slightly, but like not much more. It was really based on me getting hype over the course of the weekend that the throat irritation happened.
It's tough because the symptoms that are associated with yelling your ass off are similar to the start. Because I remember when we sat down 2 weeks ago, and in the back of my mind, I will be honest, I'm like, yo, this dude sounds like shit. I bet he totally is in the prelude to COVID right now. So when you texted me, I was like, yeah.
But the throat part was not actually a part of it when it was in its throes or so. But yeah, so that was the feeling of just like everything sucks and whatever. It's the flu, the heavy flu. About like a day and a half later, I just woke up and I was like, oh, I feel like normal. Like the morning, like kind of just broke away to like I took like a Tylenol, and I was like, oh yeah, the Tylenol is already kind of kicking in. And then when the Tylenol sort of faded, like nothing came back in a way, and I was like, huh. Oh, interesting. Okay. I seem to be fine. Okay. And then, you take your test and you're like, oh yeah, I'm still super like positive, but symptoms pretty much, were disappeared. So but the thing with that is like, I'd say the rest of the time, there was obviously like not a ton of movement. I have some stairs to go up and down, that I travel through in the area that I'm staying in, and like there was essentially like there was one moment where I quickly went from the bottom to like the top of the stairs, and then to outside, and just on the roof area, I was like, huh, I'm having a hard time catching my breath, you know? And then later on, I was playing some Street Fighter, and like I had a match that was like, ooh, this is pretty tense, and I was like, ooh, getting very elevated heart rate from that. And then afterwards I was like, oh man, wow. And then I continued to feel that like tired feeling of like when you're waiting for your bar to fill back up, your stamina, but it kind of stops at 80%, you know? And I was like, oh, what is that? That's weird. So that is still there. So I feel like I have a harder time catching my breath right now, and every other thing is gone, and was gone on day 2, day 3 rather. But there's a little bit of a like breathing deeper feels like it's a little bit more shallow. It feels like you've got like a block on your stamina bar / your life bar for
you might have knocked off 5-10% of your total lung capacity.
Right. And I'm like, that's where the respiratory shit that people have comes into play. So I know that varies for some people. There's long COVID where they literally get it and just have it be have an effect on them for a long time. I'm hopefully crossing my fingers I don't have anything like that. I also have friends who have had similar like symptoms like this last for weeks. A friend of mine told me like he had exactly this for about 2 months, after the fact. So we'll just have to see. And
I don't know about you, but like one of the things for Paige and I, like our like long COVID symptom that was like the one we were the most scared to get was all the taste and smell shit. Right? Like just some people still, because that first variant had the way higher incidence of the loss of taste and smell. And just like 1 2 year, 3 year of just like, no, still can't taste nothing. Like fuck.
Friend's husband, like some 10, 11 months in, like pretty much to just about a year at this point, I'm sure, like didn't get taste and smell back. And like there's been weird stories of people getting infected a second time and then that resetting their ability to taste. So it gets really confusing as to how and why that works. But that's a very, very scary one. Again, fortunately, nothing like that. At no point was I unable to, taste or have any of that. The only thing there is just that, like, when you get a flu, there's a flu sick taste that's in your, like, sinuses and the cavity of your throat and nose, Like, there's a flavor that comes from being sick that is just always kind of in your.
Yeah, I remember.
Yuck. And so that's there until it's gone. Thankfully.
This is kind of a non sequitur, but every time someone mentions the flu, I kind of start to laugh because I've only had the flu once.
Really?
I've only had the flu once, like the real flu once. And you saw me have it. Because the only time I've ever had the flu in my life was during that goddamn E3 Zelda showcase. In which you and Matt and Liam came over to my apartment to watch it for E3. And we got like halfway through the Nintendo Direct, and I'm like, oh, I gotta go lay down. And then I was like lying and sweating, like, and dying in the other room. And then I came back out to go to the bathroom like 5.5 hours later, and you were all still there. And I remember going like, get the fuck out! I'm so sick! Can you not hear me be insanely sick? Like 10 feet away from you? Get out of here! It was on stream.
Okay. I don't remember. But that's the only time you've ever had it.
That's the only time I've ever had the flu.
Wow. Okay. That's wild, because like, yeah, I've had it many a times, and you get used to that hit, that impact, and then the day home from school and all that chicken soup.
No, I would just barf if I wanted to not go to school. I would just like make myself vomit, and then
it's always, there's always a thing where like you're like, man, like when you're Like, I don't want to go to school today. I wish I got the flu. And then when you get the flu, you remember, oh, fuck, no, I hate having the flu. This sucks.
Yeah.
Because you don't, like, even when you're lying there, you don't want to do anything. You don't have the energy to do anything, you know? And that's definitely how it felt, at least initially.
You know, I've gotten really lucky, extraordinarily lucky, and a lot of it is because of my location. A lot of it is because of my living situation. A lot of it is because of my profession, etc. Right? That I've managed to dodge COVID this entire time. But like, as you were describing, like coming back from Evo and like the throat thing wasn't actually related. Like, the thing that has affected me is I get to play this wonderful game of, fuck, do I have coronavirus? Like every 4 or 5 days. So like right now, I'm sniffling. Now I'm sniffling because, and we came off the mask, but then have started to go back. I'm doing all the groceries and I mask back up because, you know, you hear enough people around you go, and you're like, fuck it. My whole province is burning down. The lots of smoke. Air quality is bad.
Yes.
So I
that
woke
was
up
over
this
here
morning,
too, not too long ago.
Woke up this morning and I'm sniffly because I left the windows open and I've just been sucking down like bad air all night, right? And like, it's nothing. 2 weeks ago, I had this horrible pain in my throat, and I'm like, oh, fuck, because the tickle, right, is where it's supposed to start. Like, fuck, and it was worse the next day. I'm like, fuck, and then I grabbed a toothbrush, and I'm like, wait a second. And then I went through the nightmarish process of digging your tonsil stones out, which has way more blood than you would expect.
Jesus Christ.
And then, hey,
God,
look,
I don't have those anymore.
Hey, great. All better.
Ugh. Well, yeah.
But it sucks. Every time you feel a little unwell,
you question it a little bit.
You're like, oh no, is it coronavirus?
I mean, I definitely expect it at some point. Like, it's like I think, yeah, I've had an exceptionally, you know, good job dodging it up until now. But, you know, it definitely is like, this is an endemic state, so it's not going to last forever. It will eventually make its way to your doorstep. It's just a matter of time, you know.
Well, I got to send this kid off to school eventually, right?
Yeah, so, you know, we'll...
Which is where every single person I know who had kids got it.
If anything, though, the ability to, so you can still definitely go get your tests for free at the pharmacy and stuff, but it's just getting like harder and harder to do because I know like they've made it like, oh, now you've got to like, it's not every pharmacy. It's you got to go down to like certain centers or certain like CLSC type.
Got to go down to that good pharmacy.
So
hey, I got a question in the chat about my tonsil stones. You mind if I grab it, Pat? How the fuck did you pull them out yourself with a toothbrush? I tried really hard. If you try hard enough, you can do anything.
Are your wisdom teeth gone?
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay. Because I don't know why, but I heard somehow that those might be related, and I don't know if it's true or not. But either way,
they're not.
Okay,
they have
well,
nothing to do.
I used to get those.
No,
when
I have like
early
weirdly
20s.
gigantic tonsils.
Okay.
For a person, for an adult, I have like the tonsils of a 7-year-old.
Okay. All right. Anyway,
if I opened my mouth and you looked at it, you could see my tonsils just hanging out.
Gotta move on. Just. Yeah, so anyway, I guess I'm going to, you know, begin my exercise again, and I'll see like how the breathing goes there. But obviously the decontamination process, the full scrub down that you do of everything, that left me like super winded for the rest of the night, really. I mean, it was because, you know, you're cleaning for hours and stuff, and by the time that's done, I'm like, okay, let me see if I can like take a nap and then like, you know, be okay or something like that or whatever. And it's just like, yeah, no, still felt tired after that, and I'm like, okay, this sucks. I don't like that the capacity feels lower, especially since, you know, being active is now supposed to be a regular part of my schedule. The program that I'm on technically ends like next week, right? So I've come to this conclusion point, and the data is now all super fucked because at the last second, it's like, oh yeah, you were like, fucking locked out of all your regular habits and so on. So, but anyway, it's nice to see that was more or less just. So from what I could tell, I got it, and then Flux Waves got it. Reggie was fine. Everyone else that we were with was fine.
Crazy.
They all, and then a number of folks, including like Rick at Evo, was like, yeah, hey, I got it too and stuff. So a number of people checked in on that, but like I guess as far as our group goes, they managed to definitely dodge.
Have you thought of making a web comic about your furry self going down and getting COVID?
I don't think I will be making that webcomic. I think I'm good. I also, I think the first sign of anything being even slightly amiss was like I was back and did a full podcast and felt fine, except for just the yelling. There were no signs until that point. But no, I shan't be drawing a comic, thank you. In any case, I guess what I was thinking, the funny part is I was taking some time off anyway to like just get a break because, really needed it. And then I got more break than I was looking for. So I guess there was some of that was nice, but it doesn't feel great when you're like, ugh, but I'm kind of like in a gross like feeling mood. Like it's a day off, but I'm like meh the whole time, so you don't really feel
it's always
like
been this feeling break. Of, oh, I took a couple days off and then I got sick. Oh, now my days off are ruined. But then you have to measure that against how bad would your days have been if you didn't take them off and were just sick also.
So your rest period feels like it's worth less. That's what it is, right? Like whatever you'd get from like a normal break is like much diminished in this case. But, whatever. I did kind of like ignore everything entirely online for most of that time,
and it healed you.
Sure did. So I'm sure there's been a lot of stuff, and I'm sure there's been announcements that I'm gonna miss when I was scraping together stuff on the docket, but
the announcement is that our schedules are fucked. The announcement is that everything in the world has decided to come out in a 2-week period and shit all over me.
Yep. It's gonna be insane. And you know what? I've kind of come to the conclusion that it's like, what can you do? I guess it'll have to be fine. Because if from moment to moment you're like, oh, I'm not gonna reach the end of this great game because there's another great thing that I'm currently doing, and you're consistently looking at cool shit, then hey, the cool shit to time spent ratio is high. So I'm like, yep, that's a Baldur's Gate right in the middle of a Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, right in the middle of an Armored Core into whatever else is going on, and you're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do about this. It was never in your control.
It's definitely a different, because I remember, I forget when it was like 2 years ago, in which I was like looking at like a new release calendar, and I'm like, this is a bunch of bullshit. And then I'm like, all right, let's go into the back catalog and just replay every Resident Evil game. Fuck it. Yeah. That'll take 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? And this is the opposite of that problem.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, like, people were telling me, hey, you need to check out Bomb Rush for Cyberpunk? And I'm like, it's out?
Mm-hmm.
I did. And Woolie's in it?
I'm in it.
I didn't even know.
Turns out. Shout outs to Mello. The track I Wanna Know is in it, which means my voice is officially in that game, and that is super duper hype. Fuck yeah. Well, so when I was first like like when I was feeling like icky, I was like, all right, let me like try playing something, and anything that is like like reaction based or timing based is just not gonna cut it. So, time to crank out the Oath Faithfuls. Time to bring out Darkest Dungeon 2 and fights in tight spaces. You know, because turn based is exactly what I can do when I'm in a like just sit here with the mouse, leave me alone kind of mood.
You know what else is turn-based?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, is it? Doesn't seem like it though, right? It seems like it
because you think it's Diablo.
No, because like there are things like there are things that are turns that happen, but then some stuff is happening in real time. Like a thing will move, and you'll be like, "Oh,
yeah, no, fights are turn-based. Non-fights are not."
But there'll be a thing that's like walking, and you go like, "Oh, like go follow that thing," or stuff is happening.
No, fights are turn-based.
Yeah. So
it's like a regular RPG. When you get in the random battle, you fight the
I
turns.
want so when I'm in a what I want in the mood that I'm describing is I want nothing active happening without my input.
You can actually do that.
Yeah, I want there to be like no moments. I want there to be like everything is when I say game move to the next step.
You actually can absolutely do that. It would just be there's a turn-based mode you can turn on in the options.
I saw.
However, that would make it
really slow,
insanely tedious.
Yes,
like it would be excruciating. It would be bordering on unplayable.
Yeah. So the fun of playing the games I'm describing is that it's like, well, the in between the fight stuff is just wagoning to the next destination or picking your map point or whatever. So that's why.
Oh man, Darkest Dungeon 2 got controller support like the other day. I have not tried it yet, but like I've never played a game that I felt as strongly about. I'm not going to even touch this again until it has controller support, because they were so obsessed with that wagon mechanic.
Well, it's fixed now.
How is it fixed?
In the sense that like you just click the auto drive button, and it's extremely just like which location of these 3 points do you want to go to next, and then it just will.
That doesn't sound fixed, because when I did that, the carriage would just slide up against the side of the wall and miss all the things that when you run them over give you bonuses.
But the run over bonuses are extremely minimal. They're like.
Then they should take that part out.
Yeah, you don't need to even drive over the shit. There's like barely anything to get from them. So they've basically put it in a state where the carriage is just a mood setter almost, with the narration going on. There's an item that you can put on that makes you get more things from them.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you want to steer into them, you can put on a type of pet and a type of carriage thing that'll give you more rewards. But there's not okay, I'm seeing a lot of people saying that's not true. You're super wrong.
I mean, the game has changed actively.
Yeah, guys, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but you're picking up little. You're picking up little food things every once in a while. You're getting little trinkets, but they're not massive rewards compared to like what you get in fights and at encounters, right? It's pretty. Anyway, all right, whatever. I think you can generally progress and avoid them and not really care about them if you don't want to. You can, if you want to maximize and get every single scraping out of it, like go through them and treat them like, you know, every coin box in a Mario game or something. But it's not the biggest deal. And furthermore, the things that are going to affect your ability to make it through a run are going to come from your encounters and your fights, right? So I'm saying this as I've managed to get to chapter 3 finally, and the game is getting pretty fucking hard, you know, like it's always been, but like as you continue onwards towards each chapter and you have to fight bosses earlier on, it gets more and more like you're gonna lose people / you're gonna lose Like, you're gonna have bad runs, but like the temptation to give up sometimes, you can actually push through it. So I've had like there's always the little, when you get to the next inn, give up on your run and save your candles thing. But I've managed to like turn those runs around into successful ones by like by pushing through with the characters you get. You also get the ability to like summon in whatchamacallit character, the bounty hunter, who replaces one of your four, and then he's really strong and can help fucking carry you through a zone. So anyways, all this to say that if you want to controller it and give less of a fuck about it, this state of the game is pretty good for that. Still great, still loving it, and the the fucking as you unlock shit for each character, and then the backstories and everything, like it does, you get your builds more frequently. You get better synergy with unlocking everyone's abilities, and you can find combinations that work really nicely. And as long as you are always like working with a game plan, I think you won't get wiped constantly. So yeah, Darkest Dungeon 2 still rules. Anyway, what I also did was when I was feeling a bit better, I played me some Street Fighter, and I finally made it to
fucking shocked.
Yeah. After seeing and watching a bunch of Street Fighter and whatnot, I had some of that on the brain, and there was the return of some tournaments and local events and stuff was going on, of course, which I just had to stare at from a distance, like, God damn it, But at the very least, I'm like, let me try to, work on my gameplay and improve what I like was lacking on, and the stupid mistakes I made at Evo and stuff. And
the stupid mistake apparently we have all made is that we're not playing Ken or Blanca.
I mean, so there's to some degree, but not even, because JP is now currently like in the crosshairs, right? Because Kakeru is the strongest JP, and like
I feel like we're looking at a pair of vanilla Sagats.
But it's interesting because this is all happening within a game that is still closer in highs and lows compared to any other launch Street Fighter before. It's the tightest it's ever been. But boy, do you still feel it.
When I'm playing Ken, I'm just like, wow, you can get a side switch off a jab.
Yeah,
you
he
can
gets
just
it all.
You could push me all the way across the screen off one counter hit. Dear God, Lord.
Do you want to get tattooed from the front or the back? How do you want it?
I don't want to get tattooed from the back. That's a weird version of that mechanic.
Sit down and shut up. Yeah, he does need it. Anyway,
that patch next year that makes Zangief the best character in the game is going to be really good.
I mean, they're out. Snake Eyes is out there. He's doing it. There's Geefs. They're doing it. You just gotta put a little more in. You gotta be a little bit more. You gotta know more than they do.
The reason I play Zangief is to know less.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I realize that, and think about, like, it's the same thing for, like, if you play Blanca and you wanted to be if you wanted to play Blanca in the old days and just be like a brain dead gimmick ball character, and then now you get the most technical version of the character. Not every Blanca player signed up for this, and a lot were like, fuck this, I'm out. Like, if you took what was there and it's like, hey, this is a little too like, I signed up for Blanca 101 and you're giving me a fucking university course to learn to play him properly. Anyway, though, so I made it to Master with Marissa, and
congratulations.
Thank you. By like just I really took a moment to like identify the holes and the problems, and I'm like, what is it that I'm fucking choking on, and what are the things that I really need to improve and get more solid, because I can see how I have my game plan, but there's just these dumb things that I lose to that I shouldn't be losing to because I identify them, but then I don't beat them even though I can, you know. So that was nice. And then with that, I feel like I'm like, okay, let me start building the Blanca game plan for real. So I'm putting together the Blanca as well. Yeah, I feel like you know, there's a mentality that is really important to have when you, especially when you're just kind of fighting randomly online, which is like when you are able to identify like the game plan and the entire nature of the person you're fighting, but you're like, I know what this is, but then you're like, but I'm still losing. I still lost to it, even though I know exactly what it is. That feels really bad, you know? Yeah. And so this is where I'm going to, as we've been doing recently, I'm going to plug a great SCHiM video because he did a good job explaining something that everybody... so I've known this forever. This is the entirety of how Blanca Street Fighter 4 had to play, and anyone who plays who gets good better understands this aspect of the game as well. But he just does a video. Basically, it's called like how to not lose to randoms online or something like that, or so. And the nature of it is just
I
like
think it's how to defeat the average ranked player. You know,
yeah, quote. He puts the word random in quotes. I remember in the video title, but yeah, exactly. And really, all it is just like. It's like, oh, I see that you do everything you're going to do right away, regardless of anything I've done. You didn't wait to see my action. You just started acting, and you have a game plan. You're playing a one-player game. You're always jumping. You're always doing an action. You never stop to block. You have no defensive plan whatsoever. So you're running a flowchart. Got it. When you see that, stop trying to, quote-unquote, play correctly. Stop trying to play neutral. Stop trying to give any sorts of respect to the opponent. Just lock up and hit them with safe, quick, guaranteed things that are gonna put them back down on the ground. They're gonna get back up and do something stupid again. And oftentimes they'll continue to do that and either not switch it up and then die, or they'll switch over to random 2, a second track, you know, which is like, my first track didn't work, but I still have another autopilot, and you just do the exact same thing, you know. And you know, if you can work in one little mix here and there, you can take a little bit of risk. You should have the life lead, but overall, it's just like locking down your recognizing that like you're fighting somebody who's being completely unpredictable and wild, which means the more normal you play your game, the more likely you're gonna lose, you know. And just having the ability to categorize and deal with that, you know.
Going for a mix-up doesn't work on somebody who's mashing out DP the whole time they're in a block string.
Right? Someone who hates blocking, who hates not being able to play. Or someone who's holding up just for like I'm just going to jump like 8 times, dude. I'm just going to... I don't want to fight on the ground. I hate it. I'm just jumping. It's like, okay, jumping's a bad idea, but not unless you can show them that. So, yeah, don't try to continue pressing buttons and getting jumped on. Just stop, wait, and then, like, let them hang themselves. Let them provide enough rope and tighten the fuck up completely and take almost no risks, you know? Yeah, the impatience that the other person is displaying should be the thing that ultimately lets you win. So, doing that will help you a lot, and that SCHiM video is just another great example of like this is knowledge that you kind of intuitively eventually get to, but it's just putting it out there for anyone who's like approaching it but doesn't quite know, you know. Very good video. Did some of that, and then yeah, I played some Bum Rush Cyberpunk. I cracked that open and took a look, and boy.
So Wooly, what is Bum Rush Cyberpunk exactly? Assuming I don't know what it is.
So Jet Set Radio, aka Jet Grind Radio, and Jet Set Radio Future are the fucking just some of the most aesthetic, brilliant fucking games from late 90s to 2000, early aughts, you know, Dreamcast into Xbox original era style, graphing, you know, street writing, just graffiti, breakdancing, grinding, all that shit, cell shaded.
I have a kind of sacrilegious question here.
Yeah.
but it's sincere. I have never played Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Radio Future.
Whoa. Not
Okay.
that surprising, actually. Yeah.
Right?
You know,
Every single time I have ever heard anyone talk about these games, they've talked about how incredible they looked, how interesting they were, and how unbelievable the music was.
But the gameplay.
I have never heard a human being describe actually playing them once.
Okay. I have.
And to me, that screams like, wow, that really did look really good, didn't it?
I have talked about the gameplay quite a bit, and I mean, even in the old LP that I did for it way back when, one of the first Wooly versus New Era LPs I did with Reggie Research was addressing a lot of that. The gameplay, like, has moments of good, followed by moments of jank bad. And the jank bad creeps into much of the highlights. It like most of the awesome moments are sprinkled with jank, and then like when the highlights go away, you fucking drop into Jank City, right? And it sucks because like the ingredients of what you want to do are great, are still there and great, like grinding, right, hitting up graffiti points, and
yeah, it kind of looks like Tony Hawk, but not as good.
Well, so Tony,
like mechanically,
exactly, right. And the thing is like, because Tony Hawk is built around having a map that you can have like points to do tricks on, and you're overall trying to like link it together and have a giant world to, you know, focus on the tricks. And doing tricks is not the point of Jet Set Radio. And tagging is more of the point, but it's not the full point either. It's kind of like tag enough spots to progress the level forward, and then eventually the map will enter the next phase of like, oh, well, now you have enemies coming at you, so you have to hit your targets faster. Then you'll hit like a boss point. So it's almost like, it's like a Sega, like it's almost like a Sonic game in the idea of like, you know, you're gonna you eventually hit like a boss, and your character is not like, you're not really equipped to fight per se, but you've got some of your basic tools like spraying and jumping to, you know, do stuff to help you with it. And as a result, yeah, you end up just progressing and getting to the next cool level, and it's getting carried on its aesthetics, its music, and everything else it's doing heavily. That shit, though, is, like, so powerful and so strong. The aesthetics and the music and the style and everything about it.
Reminds me of the way that people talk about Space Channel 5.
Space Channel 5 is awesome. Yeah, I love it in the same way. I don't feel it has as much jank I'm going to point to, though, because it's just a rhythm game, and you kind of...
It's very limited.
It plays itself. Yeah, you just kind of, like, walk down a straight line to the next rhythm section. So I have nothing really to bad to say about that. It's just, it's a very limited scope in a game, but I love it, right? The aesthetics and everything in Jet Set Radio are so fucking... They're, like, fucking 12 on 10, and they're so strong that it still carried its style to a generation of fans that have wanted to see a sequel ever since, especially because we could all tell that, like, if you ever just fixed that jank, you would have an unbelievable experience with it. Going back to revisit those games, especially when they re-released the original, and then I went back to Future not too long ago. I didn't... I was doing some just preliminary work, kind of playing through it again to see, because I wanted to do an LP of Future. And it's like, yeah, the moments where like you have a huge janky thing of like the camera panned by an area of the map you've never seen, and you're not sure how to get there, and there's no real clear indication of how to get there because you have to find a trick to grind up a certain pathway, and it's like, oh, you just have to, you can spend yourself wandering around for like, you know, an hour before you find the right little thing the game wanted you to do. Just little clarity of messaging and maps and stuff like that. There's a lot of little quality of life things that could have made those games feel a lot better. Future definitely improved on a lot of the problems that the original had, for sure, but they both still have these jank problems, you know? It's why you don't hear about the gameplay talked about as much. But in the basic level, that is like, well, I grind through the Shibuya terminal, and then I hit up all these tag spots, and then I jumped off and then dodged a tank missile. That's a good time. As long as you're doing that, that's fine. It's just when the game is asking you to, like, yeah, go find this secret thing down here in some weird place, and it's just not clear where and what and so on. Or when it's asking you to, like, make a jump onto this one railing, but, like, you're kind of next to it, but the auto clip didn't link on, so you're touching the railing, but it's not. You're like, but I'm there. Why wasn't it? It's like, just wants you to be at a certain speed. You're like, right. So all this to say that for years we've wanted a successor to Jet Set Radio, and there's been a couple. There's been some stuff over the years. There's been Hover, and there's been games that haven't come out.
I remember Hover.
Stuff that got stuck in early access here and there. But overall, years of Hideki Naganuma, aka Skank Funk, the DJ himself on Twitter, going, "What the fuck, Sega? Just make it already! God damn it!" Team Reptile, the folks who made
Lethal League
and Lethal League Blaze, said, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. And so they did. They just made their own spiritual successor to Jet Set Radio that is really, like, I'm
looking at it now, man, this is...
Like, the map designs are most of the maps, I'm like, oh, this is a redo of...
This is shameless.
Yeah, like they really, like, it's, like... They really just revisited all those zones, and of course there's some that are new, but tons of remixes of areas that you're familiar with, and then the jank is just removed. It's just
feels like a lawyer had to look over these levels for fucking infringement purposes, because this, like,
when you want to go places, do things, wall ride, jump around, hit the things, you can just do them, and it feels like it works. You know, like. If you had a game that, like, felt like Tony Hawk back in the day, but played and stylistically looked like Jet Set, that would have been, like, amazing. And in this case, you've got something that's pretty much hitting that point where whether you're skateboarding, biking, or parkouring around, which you can always get off your vehicle on foot and do, it's awesome. It just feels great. Or rollerblading, you can do whatever form of you know, trick sport you want, and it, like, the amount of stuff you can do in the environment as well, the amount of things you can grind on has been just tripled, quadrupled. So, like, you're doing the same Shibuya terminal that Jet Set Radio had and Jet Set Radio Future had, but this time you can grind on the ceiling upside down, you know. Future added the ability to go... Not
how grinding works.
Future added the ability to go up, like, electric poles and stuff, and, like, here you're going, like, yeah, fully inverted upside down and into all kinds of crazy situations, and then wall riding into wall riding in more advanced ways as well, and just, it's fucking sick. It's just super great. Tagging is, I feel like, the best of both worlds, because when you did graffiti in Jet Set Radio... It was like you'd have to do a bunch of, like, half circles in different directions or full circles, and you're essentially inputting what was like a complex fighting game input almost. You know, it'd be like Behemoth Typhoon left, Behemoth Typhoon right, full 360, and then half circle forward, and then you'd be like, yeah, I sprayed it. They kind of wanted that mini game gone, I guess, because, like, you had to do that while police were chasing you. And, like, if they interrupted it, it would be like, oh, you wasted some paint, and then, like, it was a bit of another point of, like, tension or jank, because they would grab onto you, and then you'd get hit and take damage and then die, and you'd be like, ah. So then in future, they made it just like hit the button, instant spray, don't even think about it, just kind of mash as you go next to the spot. And that took it entirely away. And I was like, I get that you minimized spraying, but you didn't have to do it like that. Just make it, you could do something in between, you know? And they really addressed that well in Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, because you get, when you hit up to a wall, you get like a bunch of different points of like drawing out like line configurations. So, you know, if you were to think about like almost like a 5-point, like a pentagram, you hit the stick in any of the 5 directions, and then you trace out a pattern. And then once you close the loop, you'll do a particular piece of graffiti. And as you unlock more, you can choose which one you want to put up by just doing the memorized pattern that you have. And you kind of have a cool thing where your character's like, you boost and then you kind of like float in midair and you tag. So you've got like a jetpack kind of holding you up as then you then continue. And then the fact that you have a super boost jetpack button as well, and everything you're doing to speed up the process or get away from stuff and so on makes it really feel really good. You've got 3 trick buttons in the form of, you know, X, Y, and B, and they serve as attacks. You've got like a roundhouse kick, a low kick, and then like a cartwheel that you can just use to straight up attack enemies and deal with threats in addition to being tricks. So, yeah, it just adds an element of like, no, there's combat here. It's not just about spraying, grinding, and so on. And that all just feels a lot more coherent when you piece it together, and you know, you spray up enough stuff, and then like you see other gangs in the world. Like in the old games, you kind of run into like, oh, there's the Poison Jam. They're hanging out over there. Go talk to them. You have to emulate them and beat this area. In this game, you do the same thing, but then you also will sometimes see them in the environment, just moving around, doing stuff like actively in the world, and you see your own crew as well. A big part of Jet Set was just like, yeah, the maps were not great, and in this case, you can pull out your phone and skate around with your phone map out while looking where to go, and it'll highlight things. That's cute. You can also look up tags and like how to do graffiti. You can take text messages from everybody. Like everything game and menu related is by looking at your phone, and your character has your phone out while you're skating around. And you can just leave it out, switch the playlist up. It's great. It's just a really smart way to do that. And
question, the way you're describing this, do you get the feeling, this is kind of a weird way to phrase this, but do you get the feeling that this is like a more realized version of like what Jet Set Radio was kind of supposed to be?
Yeah.
Like this is closer to the mental pitch in the mind than the original was?
Yeah, I think so, because like Jet Set Radio had the artists, it had the musicians, it had the team, but like the people that were making the way the game felt, like they were making a platformer, and then they added grinding, and then they added spraying, and then they added enemies. But I don't think anyone on the team of the original game took a pass at making it feel good. There was no one that kind of went, but how does this all feel? You know, it was just like they jump, they grind, they get to the next location, and that worked. Therefore, ship it. And like we now are many generations later with people who understand how like, no, when you jump, you don't just need to jump really high and land on that surface. You need the directional influence of how you jump to feel good. You want the floatiness to feel good. You want the ability to double jump, to have the right amount of momentum so that you pause, and then when you boost again, you want to have that little pause that leads to an acceleration that feels good. There's a feeling to movement and momentum that is not intuitively like obvious if this is your first time taking a crack at it. If you've played other games where it feels good to move around, you'll know what to look for, and you'll be able to go in and make the game feel that way. Lethal League is an awesome fucking example of a game where, God, the amount of juice from...
Feels good, man.
When you hit it at the highest point, when that ball is like, oh, and the universe is going through different iterations, and like it feels incredible. You know, they understand how good it feels to move and hit things. So there was never a pass for flow and for juice and for like feeling on the original games. And here, that same team is super aware of how to make things feel good. So yeah, now when you run off a wall and jump and then double jump and hit that boost, you fucking accelerate, you go flying forward, and then it feels fantastic, you know? Or switching off of your skateboard onto foot and then back, and you know, just all of that just feels good. Feels good to run around in the world, which means like you're down to spend, like you don't want to just hit your next objective and move on. You're down to like explore more. You're down to like actually fuck with the system and see what's around the map, and you know, live in the game a little bit more. They also did some things that were really obvious oversights, like for all the things you do in Jet Set Radio, dancing isn't actually one of them. Like in the game, it's full of dancing. There's the character select screen is everyone fucking doing their moves. Everyone is
right,
and every cutscene is full of characters doing their moves, but you never actually dance in gameplay.
I feel like I'm slamming into like the perception of what Jet Set Radio was, and you're describing what it actually was, and they don't link up. It's they're not meeting.
It's an aesthetic masterpiece, and its gameplay went from mostly jank and rough to serviceable in the sequel, and that's kind of where it landed. But because there's so much masterpiece to the aesthetic, depending on who you are and how much that matters to you, that will carry your love high and far. And as someone who adores aesthetic, I wave that flag, and I'm all about just like, we need more games that look and sound and fucking play like this. I love this experience. But I'm realistic about just like, yeah, and then the gameplay was fucking, it had that jank, you know? So one of the things that was hilarious, yeah, dancing is everywhere in the game, but you as a character don't actually dance in gameplay. And it's like, what the fuck? Yeah, what is up with that? So like, you hit a dance button here, and then you start jamming, and then you can pick different kinds of dances to do, and then your character will do it. And the mechanic for that is like, oh, you go land on a certain spot and you start a cipher, and then when you start dancing on the board, your whole crew pulls up and everyone gets in a circle as you do, and while you b-boy, you can switch characters, you know? So like you basically just like you bring that element of hip-hop into the actual gameplay system, and not just like in the form of cutscenes, you know? Great, and just such an obvious thing to just like, yeah, dancing should be part of the gameplay. What the fuck? So you know, it's interesting at that, and then yeah, I played enough to just kind of see like where the story's going and what it's doing, and it's like definitely a like future fucking music rules the world kind of wild dystopian tech future. And then there's these jarring moments of just like, what the fuck is this world actually? Like, how do things work? You know, it's interesting.
It's music, bro.
It's interesting trying to piece together, yeah, like the universe and its logic. But one thing's for sure is that it just takes all the things that, yeah, Jet Set Radio really should have done, and the things that we've learned, the lessons of the last 20 years of how to make things feel good, and just puts it all in there, allows and like gives you like more customization options, so you can get outfits and costumes for each character, because that's all. Of course you want to customize your character. If aesthetic is the name of the game, we want to be able to like, you know, find more things to look cool and shit. So yeah, just tons of that, and it's you know, it's very simple, but it's like, let's do it again. Let's do it better. Let's make it feel good. And let's have some of the best fucking music from far and wide across the internet, a generation of people inspired by the sounds of Jet Set Radio, including the likes of Tig Too Mellow, and of course again Hideki Naganuma himself blessing the track. So it just sounds and fucking feels like it never lost a beat.
I saw people making fun of Hideki Naganuma. Something along the lines of, "Hey man, you get a whole new soundtrack. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna sample the same shit that you sampled last time, are you?"
So yeah, he used the same speech that he sampled for that one. At the same time, I think though it's because so from his perspective,
that's really funny.
But from his perspective, every time there's a Jet Set Radio successor, he's been asked to do something for it, right?
Yeah.
So if the first time around it was this one, it would have been done and done. It's in the bag, but he did get in. He's so down to work on more Jet Set Radio that he has made tracks for a bunch of these other projects, and anything that even spiritually resembles Jet Set at all, he's super down to be involved with and stuff. So he's done this whole oh yeah, let's do it again, let's do some more, let's remix it, let's do other stuff. He's done a bunch in the meantime. This is ultimately just another one, but it's the best one so far. So I and it still sounds fucking amazing. At the end of the day, you just want to jam and bop and fucking groove to it. So it's got soul. It's got soul. That's what matters. Definitely gonna be taking a look at that this week on the schedule when I get a chance. So fucking go pick that shit up and support Team Reptile if you haven't already with Bomb Rush Cyberfunk. It's even got the two DLC characters that are similar to the way you had the extra characters in the original Jet Set as well, with the big guy and the little girl. So they're really just doing it as blur your eyes and fucking put the glasses back on, Peter. You're looking at the same thing. So yeah. Anyway, this week loaded ass schedule. We're coming back and we're gonna be making up for lost time. So podcast today as announced, and then tomorrow we're taking a look at Baldur's Gate 3. And I hear some good things about that game. So we're going to be doing, as mentioned in previous weeks, doing couch co-op. Reggie's jumping on. We're going to do split screen, and Pat's going to call in, and we'll be the voice in the sky yelling at each of our choices and complaining about them being
that's
wrong.
not it. No. There are so many choices that it would be wild for you to consistently make bad ones. What's more likely is you going, how does this work? And I go, when you go, hey, Pat, what the fuck does it mean when it says this picking a sorcerer has a constitution proficiency on saving roll?
Mm-hmm.
I go, oh, that means it'll be easier to have your sorcerer not break concentration.
I will be happy to offload all you're getting it wrong input to you in that instance, because people can't wait
I think we've moved past that. I think we've actually grown.
You're crazy. You're out of your mind.
And we've moved past that. No, wait, let me finish. We've moved past you saying oh, it works like this, and I go, no. We have now moved into the world of you asking, well, what about this? And your question is actually so baffling that I sit there and go, Wooly, what the fuck are you talking about?
That might happen. That might
happen. That on the last podcast, we were talking about the Dark Urge origin. The questions you were asking were so confusing to me. I didn't know how to answer you.
Yeah. So when I saw it in the character creation menu, I went, oh, I need to see.
Yeah, it gets separated.
Yes, and that would have clarified everything, because I didn't understand even the concept. I was unaware of this. When you switch characters to another party member and you're playing as them, but you still made an NPC. But why you still made a custom character? But you I was missing the context entirely of
you describing you kind of clicking once you saw the character creator actually makes me feel really good, because one of the things that I said 2 weeks ago was your lack of experience with this genre and its adjacent genres.
Mm-hmm.
It has created kind of a strange situation where you play games all the time, but in this particular sphere, you're kind of going in with like little to no foreknowledge, which the game kind of like it's the types of people who make these kind of assume you know at least something, and so there's some like general assumptions that they expect you to have that you just don't walk in with.
Yeah, I think and that's I'm down to learn on the fly and see as it's described, and again, seeing is you learn by doing, right? That's how it works for me.
Very much so.
But like to me, I'm just looking at I'm hearing a description of something, and I'm like, okay, so you know, like you're making your shepherd, and then Garrus is over there, but now I can play as Garrus.
Yeah, you could have started the game as Garrus,
but starting the game as Garrus, and then I'm like, so does that mean that Shepard still exists in that game that I've started as Garrus?
No.
And but like when you see the way it physically shifts over to a different thing, it makes way more sense when you just look at it. So verbally describing the process just was not.
It's this kind of fascinating thing where there's two sources of information for this. One is Divinity 1 and 2, because they use that system. And then the other is like the actual D&D 5.0 player's handbook. Right? And it's this strange thing of like the game doesn't have a player's handbook in it. Instead, you mouse over something and it explains it to you. But like D&D is the kind of game where like before you sat down to play, like you were kind of expected to have read the player's handbook. Or at least skimmed it. And they don't expect that of you here, which is why every single icon
Did you read
in the
monster
game,
manual, fucker?
That's why every single icon in the entire game has like a huge tooltip that goes, okay, this is what this fucking means, blah, 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 blah. The most important thing to know is to hit start and hit triangle or Y on your controller, because that gives you the quick save.
Yeah,
and that will mitigate all problems.
Yeah. No, at the end of the day, I'm just like, look, all right, it's another one of these situations where the thing that people like is the game that's most complex, because the complexity adds depth, which adds a lot of things that you can
do all sorts. It is,
and because of that complexity, it's also not instantly. You're not going to grasp everything right away if you're not super familiar with how it's gotten to this point. But they want you to get to that point, so it's a learning process, and that means there's a lot of things to get wrong. So I'm at this. I've been doing this for long enough that I get it.
There's a really good example for this the other day where Paige is playing her own file, and she wanted some items off like the first merchant and didn't have enough cash. And I'm like, well, you could just steal all those, right? And there's the pickpocket system, which is go into sneak and then go to, pickpocket the guy, right? That's the basics of that system. But there's also like a good way and a bad way to pickpocket somebody. Like there is like a significant amount of depth to the pickpocket system in terms of like the ways that you can use the game system to enhance or mitigate chance or things, at what order you do things and stuff like that. And it turns the act of stealing off of merchants into this fun little process.
Yeah.
But as a result, it's more complex than sit down, put bucket on head, steal money.
But also, inside of all that, there's like the game is massively like the things that happen in the game, I get it appears to be like it sounds like they're more affected by whether you dice roll left or right in a conversation, as opposed to like how you deal with a threat.
Depends.
Yeah, like if you can go left or right at a fork, and you're like, there's 5 ways to go right. There's 5 ways to kill this guy, but a part of it is going to be that even before you get to that, I even have to kill you. The conversation will determine, which one of these paths you're going to take. Like
so, the main thing here, and the game's biggest strength, is like a logic mistake that you're making describing this, in which you're describing it as a binary between dialogue and combat.
Right.
Which is how Mass Effect worked, and it's how most games work. Baldur's Gate 3's like big triumph is that those are just two out of a wide variety of options, be it environmental navigation, ingenious spell casting that allows you to avoid situations, diplomacy with or dialogue with things that you don't think you'd be able to have dialogue with, avoiding the situation entirely, etc.
Yeah. No, and that's
there is the classic persuasion of, hey, you should kill yourself. Yeah, you're right. I should kill myself. That is still available in certain situations.
And yeah, I've over the last little bit of hearing about the triumph of this game and how much it's been blowing people away, like, it sounds like if you do decide to play in the most like boring, just walk up to the problem and swing at it method, the different ways you can swing are still varied enough to...
Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot of ways you can swing.
You can boring combat your way through and still like enjoy the variety of boring combat. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, you can definitely combat the fuck out of things, but then you can even sneak attacking people from outside their detection range and being undetected is technically combat, right? Getting a bard or somebody else to use the perform action that causes enemies to group up on you, and using that to get everybody in a nice little pile that you can drop a fireball onto. That's technically combat. Convincing people to attack something so that they all go to one spot, and filling that one spot with every explosive barrel you can find in the game, and loading them up for like a fucking like Goblin 9/11. That's technically combat.
Yeah. That sounds fucking great. That sounds awesome. And I guess on top of all of this, there's just the god of the dice roll, right?
Yes.
Where at any given point, this can go spectacularly garbage and terrible, or this can be like perfect. No one expected it.
I can't believe you managed that.
Yeah. So gonna take a look tomorrow at that. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, gonna stream that on Wednesday. And then FF16 coming back on Thursday. A little bit of Street Fighter 6 World Tour on Friday. I'm gonna be jumping in on it's gonna be a bit of a mini session because there's an online tournament happening. And then Saturday, we're gonna be doing a Honda Street Fighter 6 special. So. Lord Jimmy Bones, a local Honda player, is going to come over and just everyone can pelt him with tomatoes and hiss and boo as we learn in person what a Honda player looks like, feels like, and you know how they think. We will get to observe the creature and learn how to beat it. / if you happen to want to become one, you can face the mirror here. So. The Honda special coming up next Saturday. Yeah, that's basically the deal. How's your Baldur's going?
So I have completed the first act after 45 hours of gameplay. So one fully complete run through of completioning every planet in Mass Effect 1 later, I have beaten the first third of Baldur's Gate 3. Do
you think it's unfair to like...
What's that?
Do you think it like... like the fact that like people are kind of like, this game is like what other games need to do from now on when it comes to like an RPG, and it's like, is that even possible?
Yeah.
Like, you know,
So
like,
okay, so you know what? I have not gotten to have this conversation with you, right? I've had this conversation on my stream. I've had this conversation on social media, but I haven't had it with you on this podcast. So Baldur's Gate 3 is I forget the gentleman's name, but he was the guy who worked on Hypnospace Outlaw, and he put out this interesting article. Or no, sorry, he put out a series of tweets in which he said that people describing that Baldur's Gate 3 is setting a new standard for games going forward are kind of opening up a can of worms. And why did the Audacity stop at 35 minutes? God damn it.
all right, stream rip it is.
All right. Should I just delete that?
Yeah.
I'm just looking over at it. I'm like, why?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Well, he described that that is a good way to kill a bunch of studios, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because Larian is coming at it with the expertise of having made 2 games in a row that are the similar genre. They're doing it with one of the most popular IPs that exists for this type of thing, being the Dungeons and Dragons license. It's a sequel to 2 of the most beloved games ever. They have a 400-person team. They had a successful early access period, and they had about 6 years to work on it. Right? So everything is kind of like going their way. Everything aligned so that this game could be as good as it was. And he's completely right. Right? Like most indie studios or smaller studios that attempt to do that would be annihilated, and to judge a game like Hypnospace Outlaw against those standards is ridiculous. However, what people took from that was why developers are crying because they don't know how to make good games anymore. And that was like a really, really genuinely uncharitable variation of what the discussion actually was. Right up until that started to actually happen from developers who work at huge publishers. Because the whole kerfuffle happened, and then AAA devs started to actually come out and say that. Including in particular, there was a guy who works at Evolve PR who was saying, like, you can't compare games that don't have the kind of incredible funding that the D&D license affords, to which case Larian responded with, like, we paid for the D&D license. We didn't get any money. We paid Hasbro for the license. What are you talking about?
Interesting.
But when we're talking about like AAA, which this game is, it's just by a privately owned company. Yeah, there's no reason that EA or Ubisoft or Activision or fucking whoever who have like 6,000 person teams on Assassin's Creed whatever can't do the same thing that Larian did. The things that Baldur's Gate 3 does well are not necessarily the kinds of things that you look at and go, that cost a ton of money. Did they have performance capture for their NPC conversations? Absolutely. Does the game look very nice? Absolutely. Is there a ton of content? Totally. But you don't get the feeling that the game is just exploding with money the way you do when you play Assassin's Creed Valhalla or whatever, and you see this gigantic super landscape, right? Or Diablo 4 was way more people on it, and you could see all the money in it. It's just like, no, they got to do early access. They took feedback very seriously from early access, like they did for Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2.
It was around for a while, yeah.
3 years of early access. They implemented that feedback. They're passionate about it, and they did it. Comparing Baldur's Gate 3 to Starfield or Mass Effect is the fairest thing in the world. It is absolutely, completely legitimate.
So this is, again, and I'll have to learn more as I take a look at this going forward in the next this week. But I when I hear it, I kind of wonder, because like if we're looking at something that is comparable to a Team Ninja Neo's quality of life situation, then that's a very fair thing to say, because you're
absolutely.
like,
no, there's a lot of that.
Right? Look how good this game became over just the course of slowly but surely iterating and putting all these little things that players wanted over time until you fucking honed it. And
but it's not just that. Like, BioWare is
right.
a really perfect example. Oh, sorry, I'll let you get to it.
Oh, so it's just, so there's stuff that's just like, this is all quality of life and it feels great, and this should be the standard going forward for every game that does these things, right? And we talk about that in fighting games all the time. Like, please fucking implement your quality of life standards, make a list and check all of those boxes. But if you're talking about something where it's like, no, even conceptually approaching the world and interfacing with the game environment in a way that is breaking most conventions and lazy, patterns of what came before, thinking outside the box and stuff, it feels as if like that is something way harder to do, because forcing companies that don't want to do that to have to do that is a surefire way to watch them do it horribly, right? If you asked a company to like make a game like Zaum did and like write that way, and you know what I mean, and spend that much time creating all these scenarios and make them compelling, and they just don't have not only the talent to do it, but if they're forced to do it, they're just going to cut every possible corner and say, well, the options are there, go jump over that box to get inside or talk your way through it, but they're going to be terrible implementations of that stuff.
Hey, guess what? You have swerved directly into the next point I was going to make. Baldur's Gate 3 is a sequel to Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, games that were made in 1998 and 2000 by BioWare, right? It acts as if it was a BioWare game made by the BioWare of that era had they continued making D&D games. There's a very direct through line. Specifically, old BioWare, or what you would call real BioWare, that company's last hurrah on a standard classic isometric computer RPG like Baldur's Gate 1 or 2 or Icewind Dale or Planescape Torment was Dragon Age Origins. This game feels like a sequel to Dragon Age Origins, which was great.
I heard that.
And is beloved. That game is great. It's not as big, right? Because it was the more early 3D, and that game's fantastic. And what modern BioWare did was they did Dragon Age Origins, and it did really well. And then they said, you know what we should do? We should bust out the sequel to this in 11 months. And then you got Dragon Age 2.
Right.
And then Dragon Age 2 bombed, and they were like, oh, fuck, you know what we should do? We should make Dragon Age Inquisition, and we'll use BioWare magic, and instead of making it interesting, like an RPG, and have lots of choices, we'll just use the Mass Effect conversation thing that we know how to do, and we'll just make it really big. We'll just make the areas really big.
So when Mega Game Corp is going, all right, guys, time for you to make Galdur's Bait 2024. You have 14 months, go. And make every decision feel good and make it all work, and you have to do all these things and just cram that level of but can we get an early fuck your early access. You have 14 months, go. You can't possibly expect a result anywhere near what you get here.
So you played through all 3 Mass Effect games, and Mass Effect represents the perfect permutation of BioWare's path. Because Mass Effect 1, you have a bunch of inventory stuff, you have a skill tree, you're doing squad commands for your guys, and it's like, okay, I can see this is like a shooter version of KOTOR, right? It's the dots are there. And then you get to Mass Effect 2, and it's a fucking shooter. And then you get to Mass Effect 3, and it's a fucking shooter. And it's a decent shooter. It's like, there's cool stuff you can do.
Of the time.
And every game that BioWare put out, they lessened making your character. They lessened building your guy or having RPG interactions with it. And they maximized, man, you know what really blew up? Trying to fuck Garrus and Tally.
Mm-hmm.
So they just they doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on their conversation system, which has problems. As well, that's what RPG is. RPG is talking to people in a shot reverse shot cutscene. Baldur's Gate 3, you talk to your party in shot reverse shot, right? You don't have a wheel. You have the old fashioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 dialogue choices. But like, instead of going towards more, hey, what if it was more actiony? This game has gone in the opposite direction.
Right.
Now it's not real time with pause. Now it's turn based, and what turn based allows is shit like, well, hey, did you know if you throw a potion at somebody, it can break on their face and you can heal them? Or did you know that if the owlbear has a move, if you can transform into an owlbear and then you have a move where you jump on somebody and it does damage based on the owlbear's weight, that if you feed the owlbear a potion of giant size and then cast enlarge on them and then increase the height of the building they're jumping on by stacking things, then it multiplies by 8 times the force of acceleration by gravity, and you end up doing 821 damage to somebody by landing on something, because the game cares about the numbers going on the background instead of plus 10% to incendiary ammo damage, Shepard, which is the upgrade I used for like the whole of Mass Effect 2, because that was the best thing. It's like, oh, my guns do fire on the yellow health bar.
And it's interesting to look at it in the context of like the sequels to Mass Effect, because like when you think about how those games came about and the time frame they came about in, you're looking at like it became a better and better shooter, but that's also because the course of what the industry was doing at that time was rolling that way anyway. So you're like, let's make a best version of the thing that's already happening. And it sounds like what you're describing with Baldur's Gate is like going against what the stream is currently doing by looking at an RPG and trying to figure out ways to gamify aspects that people previously haven't really gamified.
Yeah, because so Zelda had this thing where Zelda Breath of the Wild and then Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo has never been like big shiny graphics. Instead, they took all the power they possibly could on the new Zelda games and go, what if you could do things?
A bunch of shit.
What if instead of the parkour looking 5% cooler, what if you could do something interesting or weird or cool? What if the ideas you had about how games worked as a kid actually became pseudo-realized? Baldur's Gate 3 tries that approach. Instead of, hey, every time you hit the A button in Dragon Age 2, something awesome happens. That's a real quote. That is real. Okay.
It's interesting.
Instead of that, instead of, hey, what if the player has an idea about how something works, and then they try that idea and it works.
Yeah.
I had somebody in the chat earlier brought up a mechanical interaction that I did not anticipate until they put it in the chat. Paladins in this game have oaths that are required to be maintained to keep their powers. You can pick from a variety of oaths, but let's say Oath of Devotion is your typical goody two-shoes. Protect people, don't lie, smite evil, do the greater good, etc., right? They broke their oath by throwing a potion at someone to heal them, but the point of damage from the glass breaking on the person killed them before the heal went off, therefore causing them to accidentally murder someone, violating their oath and causing them to lose their powers.
Wow. Okay. That's fucking insane. Jesus Christ.
Instead, the fucking Suicide Squad is like the best example. Do you remember when they showed that thing off? And then they just showed the fucking gear score screen, and every single person turned their fucking brain off because it's the same game again. Like, BG3 is the most interesting, most in-depth game I have played in many years because it is constantly giving you new situations that are weird and fascinating, and then giving you a bunch of different ways to solve them, including ways that are not presented to you. So I'll use one example. I will use an example that I encountered the other day and then spoke with people about its various permutations. You run into a refugee that is so freaked out and assumes that you are going to drag them back to the slave camp or whatever, and they have a bomb, and they are willing to blow themselves up, and they will clearly take you with it. And just for background, if they blow themselves up, you will get a game over. Because it will nuke the fucking room you're in. You will absolutely die. Okay, so here's your options. Did you help their friends and can name their friends to them and be like, no, I'm cool? Did you think to have detect thoughts, the spell on, before you went to talk to them? At which point you can roll to detect their thoughts and know the names of their friends. And be like, no, so-and-so sent me. Can you pass an intimidation check or a persuasion check or a deception check or a check related to bard or paladin or cleric or something else? Or did you snipe and kill them before the dialogue started from outside dialogue range?
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the best one, during your conversation, did you switch to a different character who is not conversation locked, cast invisibility on yourself, steal the bomb out from under them, and then continue the conversation? At which point you are able to say, yeah, go ahead and do it, pussy, blow us up. At which point there is a voice-acted, bespoke reaction to where did the bomb go, what is happening.
Wow. Yeah. That right there, that's a fucking incredible, like, example of what I was just thinking, which is when you look at what's actually happening with that amount of, like, emergent gameplay options, so to speak. It's all these RPGs that we've been playing for literally the entire history of video games have been taking D&D and picking a couple of rules out of it because there's a
combat
limit.
Rules. Like 99% of it is just the combat rules.
And there's a hard limit to how much you can make a video game, how many things you can put in a video game, and how many things you can fit on a Nintendo cartridge or a disc, a CD-ROM, or whatever as we move forward. And like working the logic out because there's a limit to how much all of that can be done as well. And yeah, you're taking what D&D has as a basis, and that's it. There's like a couple of through lines, and then you're fighting some similar types of monsters. Therefore, that's an RPG. But I guess here it's like, let's go back to the drawing board and look at what D&D can be and what you can do in it, which is fucking literally anything. Your imagination's the limit. The sky's the limit. And like, what if we interpret all of this in a different way? Because if you're playing derivatives of derivatives of derivatives and like streamlined RPGs, we get to the point we're at now, they're still fun. And like the same way that like the shooter aspect of Mass Effect 3 is fun. It's a good shooter, but it's an improved derivative of a derivative that started out limited to begin with. And if you went back to the drawing board and went like, what if we interpreted this entire thing a different way from the jump? Like, it could be a spectacular failure. You could create a trespasser of a first-person shooter where you have to hold your arm out and press the trigger button to pull the gun while interpreting video games in a way that no one has. Or you can get something like this, which is like the magic of a fun D&D campaign is you thought of something that the DM never thought of, and now you have to sit there and figure out with the dice whether or not that worked.
So there's a really good example of the game's full realization of its own mechanics in one of your party members. So you get a cleric as part of the gang, and the cleric that you get uses the trickery subclass of cleric, Like there's domain or light, or sorry, there's knowledge or light or life or tempest clerics, right? But you get a trickery cleric, and trickery clerics are bad in combat. Their skills are not combat focused. But what they do get is the disguise self spell, which in most games would be goddamn useless. In Baldur's Gate 3, the disguise self spell allows you to transform your person into any person, different race and different gender, right? Things this allows you to do: switch into a halfling and go into areas that only children have access to. Turn into somebody so that the person you just murdered doesn't think you're their murderer when you talk to them as a dead person. Switch into one of the quote-unquote evil sub-races so that when you go to the enemy camp, they just let you in because you're one of them. And so on and so forth.
Right.
You can transform yourself into a halfling with disguise spell, and then your barbarian, because you're one size class lower, can pick you up and throw you across gaps. Like,
yeah, they it seems like they looked at the list and thought of everything, and then thought of how everything could be affected by everything, and just went above and beyond.
Like, okay, what is this spell supposed to do? What is it actually supposed to do?
But to do that, you have to go back to the D&D pages and go like, fuck what video games do normally to approach this. What is this actually? And
what is the actual intention of this type of thing? Because everybody knows about Fireball. Fireball is fucking Fireball.
And I wouldn't be surprised to hear if there was someone on the staff or a team on the staff whose entire job was to just sit and like think outside the box on scenarios, and like QA while also going, well, you can't do this thing, but you should be able to, like, what if I did this? Because a lot of the times on QA, people will be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you could do this? Because I've been playing this level 15 fucking times this week, and like I had a weird interaction the 16th time. It'd be interesting.
I felt it should have been able to work, but it didn't. And you can put in a suggestion, and they'll be like, all right, low class, maybe, but no, because we're too busy putting out fires. And here it's like, what if those suggestions actually carried forward and, got implemented? Yeah, it feels like the whole game is built off, here's the tool set. And it might be the largest toolbox I've ever seen for any game ever in terms of variety of solutions to problems. And then after they created the tool set, they went, all right, now time to create 1,000 different weird situations in which you would apply that tool set. Like, I was getting my ass beat up by harpies because they charmed half my party. Can't charm paladins, but they charmed a bunch of them. And after I defeated them, I'm like, wait a second. I could have used my warlock to cast silence on them, because the harpy's song can't affect anyone if no one can hear it.
Right.
Like,
all of this, though, is absolutely what early access can and should be used for, right? This is you can't have a closed environment like pull all of this off. You do have to have something where the QA team is doing their thing, but also the entire world of players that are interested are providing you with the same level of ideas and feedback and scenarios in an open environment, and then you actually go through it. Now, to do that in chapter 1 of a game while figuring out what the effects would be for the rest of the game that people haven't publicly seen is still a very, very daunting task. But having some aspect of the game be public and allowing that to feedback and influence what you're doing is a necessity if anyone's ever going to try to do this with whatever game they're making in the future, Amazing. Sounds really cool.
It is the
but that argument is interesting.
It is like like every I think it was Agni Brandt in my chat that's like, I'm excited to see something every single minute of playing Baldur's Gate 3. It is so consistently heads and shoulders above all of its contemporaries, and the argument that it's an anomaly is ridiculous, because Larian is a big company and they did use a couple studios to make it, but we're comparing it to fucking Square Enix and Blizzard and Activision and EA. Fuck off. There is no reason BioWare couldn't have made this game. Dragon Age Inquisition could have been this game. Some of that staff is still even there. They chose not to.
I, however, do not want to see the version of this game, Baldur's Gate, made by people who do not have the interest or passion to make their game this in depth and to go this hard.
Don't worry, because Starfield is out next week, and that will also sell many copies. But that's the kind of game that everyone can just shift their pipeline to.
If you're like, I only know how to make what came before and polish it up to be a shinier version of something else that already exists, then that's what you're gonna do, and fine. But the version where you're like, oh god damn it, I let's try to be creative, let's try to be interesting, and we're being forced to, and then again you do it in 14 months, and then so like, dear god, why even? Just don't. I don't want to see.
Baldur's Gate 3 was its early access period was supposed to be a year, and then they did a year, and they're like, we're just gonna keep going because the game's getting better. And people kept buying it in early access. And they're like, no, we're going to keep going. Like 3 years of early access and then a couple more on top of it. That's a lot. That's a lot of fucking time.
It'll be interesting, though, because I feel like, well, what does this amount of success like at what level does it translate into you have now created a trend that everyone is going to have to follow, right?
I think the whole purpose of this stupid kerfuffle is that no one wants to follow this trend because it's hard. Like the trend is, and you have to be good. Is privately traded a private company decided that they wanted to make it as good as they possibly could as long as the money was still there from early access, and then they just wanted to work really hard on it and not crunch their employees and make the best thing they could in the most interesting way and then sell it. And that's really hard for most companies. The game didn't have a release date for most of its life, and then they were so confident in it that they moved the release date up. Nobody else is going to do that.
It's interesting. It's very, very interesting. And I've heard people talking about how they're a private as well, so no investor input, no outside input. They're that they kind of just like made their own decisions and weren't beholden.
Yeah, Sven.
Outside pressure.
I forget his last name, but the CEO is Sven, and he's also, I believe, the lead on the project. He's an older Belgian guy. He's kind of balding. He's got white hair, and he's a fucking huge dweeb. And he described that a couple years ago, people wanted to buy the company, and he's like, I don't want to sell the company. I want to make my good games. And you can see how much of a hard dweeb he is, because he's the guy who did the whole panel from hell in full plate mail. And it was clanging all over the place. And he is also the human fighter on the front of the game's title screen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a party that is in the far distance on the title screen, and if you squint real close, you can tell it's the CEO.
And yes,
and it's like, yeah, no, he's not the statue. He's the guy coming down the stairs, guys.
But yes, obviously, private companies still have investors, but if it's not a publicly traded company, it's not gonna have the same level of open shareholder.
Yeah, he owns it. Like whatever the split is,
bullshit.
Sven owns that company. What he says goes. So that's that. There was no time pressure. The only time pressure was money running out from early access. Guess what? People were buying that game in early access right up until the day the game came out. They probably could have gone longer if they wanted.
Chalk up another point to authorship in that column.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh yeah, it's the most interesting fucking thing. I like. It is. Oh. It makes like Mass Effect is great, but it makes Mass Effect look so limited. And it's like it didn't have to be. Like KOTOR was really cool, and KOTOR had stuff in it going on.
All this conversation is also happening. Like, has anyone beaten it? Have any of you guys?
People have beaten it.
Okay,
There are people.
People have seen the end of this. Like it's happened.
I believe New Millennium from the subreddit put up a thread about beating it.
Okay.
I sure haven't. I'm ending up Act 1 of 3.
We can confirm that the end of this game does exist, and credits will roll.
The third act is buggier than the second act, which is buggier than the first act, which is to be expected because the first act went through the early access period, and the second and third acts did not.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, people have beaten it, and people are walking away going.
Sorry, doorbell. 1 second. 1 second.
Oh,
Be right
yeah,
back.
sure. fuck was I talking about before we went on break?
Not sure, but Baldur's good.
Baldur, good.
Oh yeah, the ending, right? And so
I was talking about the ending.
Oh no, I was asking if anyone beat it, and apparently,
people beat it.
Yeah.
Apparently, the ending's a little rushed.
Okay.
Which is the hey, guess what? It's a fucking RPG made by people west of Japan. The ending's going to be a little rushed. You know what else I played? Oh my goodness!
What else did you play?
My Friendly Neighborhood, that Muppet game.
Yeah, the evil Ernie and Bert thing.
Hey, guess what? So I thought that was like, haha, Muppet Shooter. You know what that game actually is? It's a fucking classic Resident Evil game.
Survival horror, yeah.
Inventory, weapons selection, enemy behavior, level layout. It is a Resident Evil game.
Okay.
And it's a really good Resident Evil game. It is better than a bunch of the real Resident Evil games.
Okay. Is the whole Five Nights at Freddy's, like, puppet thing, like, working?
I don't know what that is. I barely know what that is.
Well,
I know what the Muppets are. And
Okay.
this game knows what the Muppets are.
Okay.
Like, I don't know about Five Nights at Freddy's much. But the game is about the Muppets. The game is
Scary versions of children's entertainment.
It's oh God, Sriracha in the chat says Muppet Signalis. You know what?
I mean,
yeah, okay.
Signalis is 100% what was going through my brain when you were saying that it's a, like, RE, like...
Yeah, it's a Resident Evil game. It's like it's a I would put it along the quality of like Resident Evil 7. Like, it's fantastic. Like, it's absolutely stellar.
Yeah. No, I don't mean Five Nights at Freddy's in terms of gameplay genre or anything like that. I'm talking about horror, scary version of children's thing. That seems to be.
Don't know.
Okay. Does it work?
It's incredible. It's extremely polished.
Okay.
It's thematically consistent. It's visually and mechanically interesting. It's fantastic. It's just fantastic.
Okay.
I'm really, really impressed. Scared the shit out of me also a couple times. Like, legitimately got me really good. Like, stellar game. Can't complain. It's the total opposite of Baldur's Gate 3, where it's a hyper narrow focus.
How many inventory slots do you have?
Oh, you have an attaché case.
Oh, nice. Okay. Cool.
So you have one attaché case's worth of inventory slots.
Okay. Because I'm just like, was there any puzzle that required you to walk around with 5 eggs?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The word is not eggs, but masks.
Sure.
And that's a reference to the Resident Evil 1 remake puzzle where you have to put the 4 masks on. Like that, it is wildly, explicitly a Resident Evil tribute game. And it's fantastic. What else is new with me? Video games? Hey, yeah, this is a good time. There's too many video games now! Stop it!
There are too many.
Always has been.
Bang.
Too many video.
Back of your astronaut head.
You know what I found out yesterday? I was like, well, Starfield's like, you know, the 6th or the 7th of fucking September, right? No, it's not. It's next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fuck.
You can either, like, care about beating one, or you can touch them all and never get anywhere.
Well, no. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna touch them all, and I'm gonna beat the ones that really matter. Dude, I 100%ed completed Blasphemous on camera when it came out. Blasphemous 1 is like one of my favorite Metroidvanias I have ever played or seen. It is so incredible. I was so excited for Blasphemous 2. And Blasphemous 2 is coming out 12 hours before fucking Armored Core 6.
Fourth priority. Yeah. Yeah. I'll say this, having not touched any of the previous Jet Set shit, still grab Bomb Rush and check that out, because...
Hey, would you believe I don't really have a lot of time to play video games when I'm not in front of a camera right now?
No kidding. Huh.
Yeah. Speaking of, man, becoming a parent, every week there is some cool new weird thing. This week, I've discovered that infant children don't have the part of their brain that gives them the sleep paralysis when they're dreaming. So we've gotten to enjoy what's called active sleep, in which baby is dead ass asleep, but going, ah!
Yeah. Ah! Just fighting ghosts.
And flailing their arms and kicking.
Yeah. The thing, baby sleep fighting, absolutely.
And it's just like, because it's the middle of the night and you hear the baby go, oh no, and you jump up and you run over to the bassinet and you're like, sleeping.
Gaining experience.
No, stop that. Holy shit.
You should see the other guy. Like, those ghosts are getting fucked up.
It's fun. It's fun every time.
And until the next phase begins. Although if you could unlock that as an adult, that'd be super sick.
Nah, when I was a kid, I woke up every single up until I was like 13 or 14. I woke up every single night with all of my covers kicked clear off the bed and my pillow on the floor. And my mom would walk in occasionally, and apparently in bed I would just thrash around and kick all my covers off all the time.
I would automatically cocoon and roll to the corner.
Oh, you cocoon?
Yeah, I cocoon and I roll to the corner. I love the corner.
Yeah, I love the corner too. The corner's good.
Safe.
If you love the corner as well, you can come check out my show where we'll talk about how good it is to sleep in the corner. Go down to twitch.tv/PatStaresAt. This week, I'm hanging out with Wooly on Baldur's Gate. I'm playing Baldur's Gate myself. I'm playing Blasphemous. I'm playing Armored Core 6. And if I have extra time, I'll throw in a Bomb Rush Cyberpunk in there, but I probably don't. I was also informed in the past hour that Gamescom is tomorrow.
Yeah, fucking whatever, man. Was there not a confirmation that nothing new would be announced?
No, there was not.
I thought I saw a confirmation that nothing new would be announced.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure, but I thought I saw someone say that Jeff said there's nothing new being announced. So.
Oh, also, Holocure came to Steam, which is cool. That's cool. It's got native controller support if you want to play Vampire Survivors with your with your HoloLive girls. And then fucking Vampire Survivors fights back with a new engine. Have you played the new engine of Vampire Survivors?
I have not, but I heard something about 2-player?
4-player.
Wow.
So, 4-player co-op comes alongside with the new engine because, as we all know, Vampire Survivors could bring every device to its knees.
Now 4 people get to sit there and do fucking nothing for half an hour.
And I played a couple. I played a couple rounds with the new Vampire Survivors engine, and you know what? I can't get the frame rate to slow down. It no longer is masquerading as a Super Nintendo game. It has a good frame rate all the way to minute 30.
But can I put the chugging back on, though?
No, you can actually. Now, there's a command in Steam that you can go and use the old engine.
I like the chugging.
But hey, makes the game way harder.
Yeah, of course.
Makes it like
Of course it does. It can't slow down. You have
the last 5 minutes are much harder.
The chugging is awesome. It feels great to feel like you're breaking the fucking limits of the world.
But yeah, Vampire Survivors is now better than ever. It also means that when you're playing a 30-minute match that you've put to turbo, so it's 15 minutes, it actually takes 15 minutes instead of 25.
Right. Imagine going downhill on Armored Armadillo stage in Mega Man X, charging up your X-Buster, jumping and shooting at all the fucking flying enemies right at the peak of going out that thing and having it happen in real time, full speed.
Oh my god, it's disgusting.
Fucking garbage. Throw the game out.
Disgusting.
Throw it out. I don't even want to play. Terrible. Yeah. No. All right.
Yeah, so video games are good again.
Okay, so that will be over at Pat Stares At and at Willy Versus.
I'm so excited to see you roll around in Baldur's Gate and just push buttons, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ultimately, I'm just expecting hilarious foibles and nonsense. And
Actually not expecting that at all. I think it has a fairly good tutorial and it leads you in pretty early. I think character creation is the biggest hurdle for most new players.
Okay, I'm expecting overreactions to things that are not a big deal. Let's put it that way then instead. All right. Well, here, let me actually take a bathroom break.
That's definitely possible.
And then we'll be back.
Don't put your stats on odd numbers. It's suboptimal.
It also just fucking annoys me, like volume on the TV, unless it's on a 5.
So that's the thing, right? Like, oh, you got 17 strength. Not only is that suboptimal, but also it looks like shit.
Boo. All right, BRB. All right, quick word from our sponsors. This week, the podcast is sponsored by Factor. Yeah.
Factor.
Factor is the ready-to-eat meal kit that can help you fuel up with dietitian-approved ready-to-eat meals. You're getting them straight to your door. You can save time and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Man, I'll tell you one thing. Getting food delivered to your door is very important when you are ill and are like, fucking, this sucks. I can't go deal with anything else right now. Let's get it dropped off and hopefully not eat something terrible and eat like shit when your body needs to recover. So that's where something like Factor can come in, because you can get yourself over 34 plus weekly flavor packed dietitian approved meals. They can be ready to eat in 2 minutes. You've got options as well, like gourmet plus options. You can get premium ingredients going on: broccolini, leeks, truffle butter, and asparagus. Man, I had some truffle butter one time and I never looked back. It was really, really good. Yeah, and of course, the ability to get yourself regularly consuming calorie conscious options when you're busy is the best part, because it's very difficult to try to not to not go overboard with your calories and your intake when you're just kind of like fueling yourself. But they've got calorie conscious options that include meals that are like, less than 550 calories per serving. If you're counting, you can stay within your limits. So head to factormeals.com/castle50 and use code castle50 to get 50% off. That's code castle50 at factormeals.com/castle50, and you're going to get 50% off the deliverable straight to your door meal kit that is healthy, ready to go, and convenient, now at 50% off when you go to factormeals.com/castle50. Thank you, Factor.
I love you, Factor.
This week, the podcast is sponsored by ExpressVPN. And, ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market.
It is.
Straight up. Doesn't log your activity online. Lots of cheaper free VPNs make money by selling your data to advertisers. ExpressVPN doesn't do this. They've developed a technology trusted server that makes their VPN servers incapable of storing any data at all. The whole point is to give you your privacy, not to fucking sell it out, obviously. So yeah, that's awesome. Speed. They use a Lightway, a VPN protocol engineered to make speeds faster than ever. There's all kinds of VPNs that offer chuggy, slow service where when you turn it on, all of a sudden the connection's worse. Your ability to stream or to download feels bad because it's slower. And again, that defeats the purpose of wanting to put a VPN, get your privacy, relocate, but you don't want to have it be slower than your usual. So ExpressVPN is able to get around that. You get your video streaming in HD quality, zero buffering, easy to use, no technical skills needed. You just fire up the app and you tap one button to connect. And that has been the go-to solution for me being able to watch what I want, when I want, to play what I want, when I want, and keep my privacy in check. It's been very appreciated, as we have had a lot of cool stuff that has been denied me by the soil that I live on. I click the button and ExpressVPN says, you can be anywhere, man. Just choose where you want to be, and the rules don't apply. So protect yourself with the VPN that we've used and trust. That's expressvpn.com/superbeast. You can go there today and get an extra 3 months for free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/superbeast. One more time, expressvpn.com/superbeast to learn more. Thank you, ExpressVPN.
Thanks, ExpressVPN.
All right. The podcast is also sponsored this week by DoorDash, the next level convenience of having whatever you need delivered straight to your door, whether it is meals from your favorite go-tos, whether it's your retails, groceries, any things like that, or the convenience of whatever you're missing at the convenience store. I know that it's awesome to be able to home deliver some sanitary wipes, some. If you know you're going to be doing a big, deep clean, you're going to need a whole lot of wet wipes. You're going to need a whole lot of alcohol and disinfectant sprays and all that stuff. And I was able to handily get that dropped off right at the front door, just like that, within a matter of minutes. And that is the convenience of DoorDash. Yeah. Whatever you're missing, whatever you need. And then, of course, you know, if you're craving a particular thing or you want to try out some of the new restaurants in the neighborhood, DoorDash has got you covered. You can see what's going on with their regular updates. And, yeah, right now, if you got back-to-school shopping as well, you can get that taken care of stress-free. Shop DoorDash to get everything you need for your back-to-school season delivered right to your door. Order now for the stress-free back-to-school shopping using the promo code CASTLE to get 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more at convenience, grocery, or retail stores on DoorDash. That's 50% off up to a $10 value when you spend $15 or more. Promo code CASTLE. Don't forget code CASTLE for 50% off your next order. Terms apply. Thank you, DoorDash.
Thanks, DoorDash.
Last but not least, this week the podcast is sponsored by Bombas, the thoughtfully designed socks that make you feel the smoothness of seamless toes, built-in arch support, and cushioned ankle tabs to help you prevent blisters. Socks feel good when they're not trying to destroy your feet. Bad socks hurt you. The seams bust. They leave all kinds of wrinkles and damage on your ankle when they've been on for too long. The fabric starts to feel bad. It gets hard underneath your arches, and then you can feel it ripping, or you can feel the stiffness because the material isn't soft enough. There's like a million things that go wrong to the point where, like, wearing the bad sock feels worse than if you were wearing no sock at all, but then wearing no sock at all also leads to further damage, and it's just a terrible thing. Don't do it. It sucks. Get yourself good socks, quality, and yeah, Bombas. That's what they're doing. They got light, airy, lightweight styles, perfect for dress shoes, performance pairs, sandals even. Well, I guess you can do that too, but you know, maybe look in the mirror a little bit when you're rocking those sandals and socks together, and see how you think twice. Think twice. Really think hard about that one. But nonetheless, your feet will feel great with the moisture wicking tech. And of course, that's not just socks. They've got the underwear and shirts and all kinds of stuff to make your body feel better with a 100% happiness guarantee. So that means you're covered for life. You can reach out anytime to their happiness team for easy returns, exchanges, or replacements. And for every pair you buy, they donate a pair. So they've donated over 100 million items. Each purchase adds to that impact. Right now, you can go to bombas.com/superbeast and use code SUPERBEAST for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/superbeast and use the code SUPERBEAST at checkout. One more time, bombas.com/superbeast, code SUPERBEAST. Your toes are going to thank you. Thank you, Bombas.
Thanks, Bombas.
Okay. What's going on? Well, here's one that was not even remotely surprising from literally just this morning. Charles Martinet is retiring as the voice of Mario. He's stepping back from recording, and he is now going to be a Mario ambassador, according
He's
to
old.
Nintendo. Yeah, so Charles Martinet was at Too Many Games that I went to a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, he definitely seemed like he could use the break. He definitely seemed like he came through the break room at one point while we were having some snacks and chilling. And, you know, he was definitely right after a meet and greet, so it takes its toll when you're going through a whole lot. He seemed pretty burnt. He definitely did. He was very thankful for the ability to just rest and catch his breath, because we've done, like, I think the limit at this point was like a 6-hour long, like, meet at some point, either like MAG or somewhere at a con.
Yeah, it's never short.
Right, and at the end of those lengths, it becomes like,
hey, it's me, Mario.
yeah, like, and we're supposedly young, you know, healthy, and
We're under 40.
fucking virile, you know, like we're supposedly
Thank you.
in better shape, but you know, dude's fucking been doing it. So yeah, he's gonna step back, and he'll have an announcement, I suppose. The funny part about this thing, while it's not surprising at all considering the way, like, and he, again, very, very pleasant dude, but just seemed really tired when I saw him. When I read the part that says he's going to be the Mario ambassador, all I can think of there is, and now in his retirement, we will be paying Charles for the rest of his life to not go out and do Mario voices for any weird Kickstarter games or any
100%.
projects that will make Mario seem, you know, that'll insult the Nintendo brand or be fucking, you know, whatever.
Absolutely. That is exactly what I also heard from that.
We are locking down your contract. You will spend the rest of your life comfortable and paid to not turn Mario's voice into anything else on Fiverr. Protect that brand. Absolutely.
You will not do it.
No memes.
You will not work with Gianni.
You will not
on
work.
anything.
No, you will not work with Alex. You know, you
No,
will.
you will not.
Stay off of Twitter, and you will be paid handsomely to be a Mario brand ambassador, an ambassador to
See
the
those
brand.
young guys, those young voice actor guys, saying their memes? You stay away from them.
God,
They are bad influences on you, Charles.
motherfuckers are pooling cash together to get Charles to say some wild shit on Cameo. Just no. Yeah, that seems to be the case. And you know, I mean, can't say it's too surprising there either. It's literally like the most important fucking thing. People figured out this was probably coming as well, because in Mario Wonder, it's a new Mario voice. And it, like, Chris Pratt will not be voicing Mario in every little Mario Party and or cameo from here on out. But it would be hilarious to think that he was contractually obligated to.
I would like that.
That would be fun. Also, Charlie Day coming in from wherever he is to drop a little Luigi and then go back to set would be great. But no, it's you know, let him rest. But yeah, I just, like, you know, that, like, without this ambassador contract, give it like 5 years, and then it'll be like new Kickstarter game starring Charles Martinet working on it's so like another Italian plumber, but this time he's raunchy and he, you know, like, just all kinds of wild shit, and just like, can we cash in on this? Like, they're immediately stomping that out in the bud. Cool.
You're completely right.
Couple of things got announced as well that were pretty cool. Just want to direct everyone's attention to a game on Steam called Thunder Ray.
Oh, yeah.
A arcade boxing retro-like gameplay with blood and violence Defeat
love
the
blood
best
and
fighters in the galaxy to become the goat of the universe. It's super
Oh, that's just Punch
awesomely
Out.
animated Punch Out. It's
That's
Punch Out.
just Punch Out.
It's Punch Out with gorgeous animation and a TJ combo ass looking cool boxer, and you aura the shit out of everything, and it's motherfuckers are getting fucked up. It's just beautiful, and go check that out.
I want it.
Hand-drawn animation.
Give it to me now.
The old and glorious way. Punch Out is just, it's fucking, yeah. More Punch Out is good forever. Nobody hates that. There was also the Playism Games Summit, where they announced a couple of things, including SCHiM or SCHiM. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but SCHiM. And the best way I can describe this is Untitled Goose Game, except you play a frog and you have to hide in the shadows of everything in the world, kind of like Eddie in with Zato.
What's it called again?
SCHiM or SCHiM? I'm gonna say SCHiM. Very cool, just clean looking. Here, this.
Oh, that's hard to write.
Yeah, SCHiM or SCHiM, and it just you're kind of just froggering from shadow to shadow.
Huh.
Untitled Frogger game.
It's interesting.
Looks interesting. Cool concept. They announced Fight Crab 2. Just in case anyone fucked around and missed out on Fight Crab 1.
I did miss out on Fight Crab 1.
You missed out on Fight Crab 1. Fight Crab is where you are Crab and you have a sword and you fuck up tanks and
I didn't
weapons
miss out on Fight Crab 1. I just didn't know it was called Fight Crab 1.
Crab battles are going down, and whenever
I just called this game Crab Battle. I'll be honest.
So Fight Crab 2 is bringing it back this time around. You have a knight that is piloting the crab, and you can jump off of the crab and run around on foot before you rejoin and remount, and you are sword and shield destroying just literally anything the god can create to come at you.
Good, like a crab.
Yep. Or a lobster with part battle tank designs on your demise. Titan crab, absolutely. It's all going on. You can crab Gundam your way through.
Why is crab the best form of evolution?
I mean,
are you familiar with this?
I'm familiar with the whole lobsters being almost immortal thing.
No, I'm like, there's a weirdly gigantic amount of crabs that were different animals that all independently evolved into crabs.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't know about that. I do know that, again, lobsters are basically immortal, if not for the fact that they just get too weak to keep molting.
Yeah.
But seems like life is destined for crab.
Yeah, a lot of life eventually become crab.
Crustacean has figured it out. Back to the ocean. And when people draw their weird fetishes of people turning into a horse, you have to go through that gross phase of the mouth getting really long, and then the hands becoming hooves, and all the weird transformations that they get very excited by. I think crab is pretty close. We're already kind of there. You just kind of the transition just kind of happens much more smooth, The extra limbs part is still pretty gross, but it's just it's an easier transition. Yeah. You can anamorph.
If you could
way
anamorph into
easier.
a crab right now just to see what it was like, would you do it?
Just to see what it was like.
Yeah, I would do it.
Just to see what it was like. Yeah.
Like, because the worry for me on like animal transformation is that it's like a horrific nightmare of pain.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's not. Maybe it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. We all like, oh, yeah, no, everyone, let's pretend it's day one on the internet and you haven't seen that fucking weird horse transformation shit. Yeah, let's just all pretend we haven't seen that weird fucking, yeah. It's just, you know, it just looks like you anamorph a little bit simpler into crab. It's more cromulent.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm cooking nothing out here.
That's okay. That's okay. Do you remember, before the meme that was Crab Battle, there was an older meme?
No.
A way older meme.
Fuck, I just realized I'm going to have to tell my kid about ancient memes.
Ancient. You know what memes going all the way back to Killer Bean. Do you remember Killer Bean?
I've seen Killer Bean.
Killer Bean was VeggieTales except a bean and guns and action.
Hold on. When I say, I would like to clarify, when I say I've seen Killer Bean, I mean a friend of mine became like weirdly adamant one night when none of us had anything going on and just threw Killer Bean up into the Discord and we watched Killer Bean.
Okay. To completion.
And let me tell you, that movie being played completely straight, other than the fact that there are beans, is the weirdest part about it by far.
Huh. See, it's funny you mentioned that because I don't think I've actually sat and watched the complete Killer Bean experience. I've just seen Killer Bean in the form of GIFs,
it's
memes,
an action
and
movie.
clips.
It's an action movie that just so happens to have every character be a bean, and that's it.
And that's it.
It's not like they're in like Bean World. They're in like regular, normal human Earth. Other than the fact that they are beans, it is so strange.
I've seen many Killer Bean related clips and bits and GIFs, going back probably 15 years now or so, and it really does just look like, what if VeggieTales, but also John Woo's VeggieTales. And apropos of nothing, a trailer for the game Killer Bean has been released, and it appears to just be a full-on Max Payne style third and first person shooter with tons of bullet time dodging stylish action. Fucking wild. Like, the dude behind Killer Bean has just been head down, working on it, kept it going, still believes, just like he ever did in Killer Bean, just like on day one, still believes in it, and Killer Bean the game. It looks like a fun shooter. There's like wild dodges, and you grab a fucking grenade and you throw it back, and you golden guns.
Hey, the Killer Bean is like a weirdly fun action movie, other than the fact the whole time you're watching it, you're like, but why are they beans?
Thinking about them beans. And they still have the VeggieTales faces. They still have the look of, 3D meshes have improved and we can make a body that has one shape that morphs into different expressions. But fuck that. We're going to use geometric shapes and shove them inside of other geometric shapes, and that will be our faces. You know? So, God bless. Because I remember my first 3D was just like sticking shapes together and using that instead of rigging. Killer Bean back for 2023.
Fucking sleeper hit. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
God, I'm out of it. I wanted to see the trailer, so I typed in Killer Bean Game Bean into YouTube. God, this looks like Fortnite. It's the weirdest thing. But then it looks like Max Payne. No, it looks like Stranglehold.
Well, Fortnite doesn't look like Fortnite anymore. Fortnite now looks like Sonic Adventure / Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
No, Fortnite now looks like FF14.
Oh, God.
Did you see the raid?
No, I didn't. I saw.
You didn't see the fucking raid?
I saw the Sonic Adventure shit. I didn't see the raid. What do you mean?
I'll just fucking I'll fucking send it to you. Just fucking watch this shit.
Boy, what are they doing? What are they doing at this point? Oh, the Katamari game. Fortnite added a raid.
Like, it looks like 14.
Oh my god. A giant boss with all of your partner's life bars in the top corner? Man.
And the ground AoEs.
Oh, there's patterns on the ground. What? Okay, hold on though. How have they not just ripped this off up until this point?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
My real question is, what took them so long to steal it compared to everything else they've been stealing? Because yeah, obviously, I bet you they had like workshopped FF14 bullshit going back over a year now, and this is just finally the iteration they put out there. Because there's no, like, every game that anything that anyone played ever that they had fun with, someone made a Fortnite version of it internally, you know? Mm-hmm. My God, man.
It's a custom map? Oh,
that's fan made?
That's actually even more impressive.
Okay. Well, they should
steal it.
Well, then that would explain. You tricked me. Why'd you lie? Don't lie. What is not fan made, from what I saw, is the full on fucking crazy new grinding level shit they've tripled down on and so on. So it's still going crazy. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyway, did you hear about Hitman and the Wall of Death?
I did. It's such a classic video game like QA story.
I love that we can still have some fun and we can still lean into it. So in World of Assassination, they had
the Hitman trilogy compilation game.
They released a big update where they addressed a bunch of issues, and one of the ones was apparently there was a wall that as soon as NPCs approached it, they just dropped dead instantly. And no one could understand what or why, but you could just lead anyone to a specific wall in North Atlantic Castle, and
they would just die.
And it was specifically a wall inside of the morgue, in particular.
Which is perfect, really.
Yeah. So they were like, "Well, that's weird. Let's try to fix it." And so they put extra collision around the wall to keep NPCs from hitting it. That didn't stop the wall because it kept claiming souls. It kept claiming lives. So they then went to the lengths of surrounding it with a bunch of boxes and stuff, and that should keep the NPCs away because apparently they can't fix it. They can only seal it in.
I'm so in love with like weird game problems that like no matter what they do, they can't figure out what the root cause is.
Yep.
So let's just paint over it. Just paint over it.
All I can think of is Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, you know, and the wall that must be kept wet. It must be kept fresh with blood. Amazing. Amazing.
So what it makes me think of, somebody in the chat actually just mentioned it. In classic World of Warcraft, there's a rock, like just a rock asset in the middle of one of the zones that Blizzard was like, we don't really like the location of this. We want to move it and reorient, some of the landmarks here. And every time they would attempt to move the rock and upload that version of the zone, the server would crash, like with 100% certainty.
Huh.
And they were never able to figure it out, and so they just left it there until WoW Classic was no more.
Wow.
It's like you can't move it. Don't move it.
And we
something
can't,
about it.
Yeah.
Something about it is keeping some other system up.
Like there's like, so what you all like, whatever is public facing internally, there's a bug with like a fucking 100-long comment chain with people going, but what? Okay, hold on. What's happening in the code that's caused? And like there's something here that yes is like there's an anchor point of some kind. There's something that like, if you fuck with this, you're causing other problems, and they've tried to, and implementing the fix led to a million other things. So no, break it again and just cover it up, bandage it, let it stay in place. Hitman in particular, there was one of the not Blood Money, it was Absolution. I want to say there was a level where we were testing it, and there were a number of collision points where when you'd snap into cover at the corner of a wall, you just fall right out of world. And
nice.
And then they'd fix it and like try to beef up that spot, but then another place somewhere in the level you'd fall out of world, and then it's like, oh, this is a consistent problem with the way the mesh is made on the ground, and like just corners in particular would lead to like just random death if you hit it the wrong way. So I think eventually a solution, and this has become but other people have done this for a while, is you take the collision of the ground, duplicate it, drag it further down and a little bit off, and the holes that exist will still exist, but you'll now fall into another ground collision layer, and you'll be standing on that, and then you can just move out. So therefore all the holes are patched, right? Instead of fixing the hole in the boat, we copied the boat's collision and dragged it a little bit to the left and off. And now the water cannot make it in.
Somebody in the chat points out Diablo 4 has really small stash space. And when people were like, why can't you increase the stash space? The devs were like, well, every single time a player runs by you, we load their entire stash into your memory. So the stash space has to be kept small. And the response is, what? Fucking... Why?
Yeah.
But my favorite ever
Designed
is very similar to what you're describing, and it's Red Dead Redemption. The original Red Dead Redemption had a very, very minor physics bug that would often become explosive, and it was the loading bug in which entities would load in 1 inch lower than they should. So the feet of horses would load in an inch below the floor's collision.
Oh no.
But the physics engine would cause the horse's like body to push on the floor collision. And so you would start to see the wagon going up and down and up and down, and the horses would start to vibrate.
God,
and eventually the rebounding force would become so strong that the fucking horse and its wagon would just launch off into space like a rocket. So you would just be riding your horse in Red Dead Redemption going, oh yeah, I'm an old man cowboy. And then you would see a fucking horse carriage look like it was fired out of a catapult just fly at 200 mph past your face. It was awesome.
I'm kind of reminded of the fact that we're not seeing a bunch. I have not seen a bunch of Twitter threads of what I should expect to see, which is a million Baldur's Gate bugs happening.
They're very minor. Right now, the worst bugs that exist in the game are in the third act, and it's like scripting. It's scripting errors where a companion is trying to load an event that no longer exists.
Okay.
And so it kind of breaks a quest line. But yeah, no, Baldur's Gate 3 has some like, oh, this bonus is not applying correctly, or there was a really fun bug where you would pose through a whole cutscene and it looked hilarious. But all in all, it's pretty solid.
And Cyberpunk was another example of tabletop converted into gameplay and trying to do a whole lot. And obviously, the initial release of that, didn't quite fucking figure it out.
No. So, like, Cyberpunk's a really good example, and I feel like we're not going to see a massively super expensive game release in that kind of state for a while. I think the game that we would be likely to see have that happen is a Bethesda game like Starfield, but like Microsoft QA has been working on that game for like a year and a half, and I have a feeling it's going to release clean, and like early leaked impressions seem to imply that the game is actually going to release clean. But yeah, I don't think super high-end games are going to be releasing like fucking Cyberpunk for a while.
Well, I mean, relating to that is I guess the word on the street that like Starfield appears to be pretty clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, this we have to wait until next week until people actually show it. But my sneaking suspicion has been that it will actually release somewhat clean.
But how can you be Skyrim in space?
Crazy,
how can you be Skyrim in space if you can't launch? Well, instead of launching things into space, I guess launching them down to Earth, doesn't happen. Yeah, interesting.
I don't know what it would be like to play a Bethesda game clean. Like, I don't know what that's like. Like, what their bugs have been like a feature for content creation purposes for so long that I don't even know how you would. I don't like. Like drinking a non-alcoholic beer. Thanks, whitest face Trudeau.
A Heineken Zero. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. Yeah. So there's pretty much that. There was another thing. Oh yeah. If you for any reason decide that you're like, you know what, I love me Armored Core, but that ain't enough. I want more robots. / you're like just not down with that type of robot action. There's Break Arts 3, which also got announced, which is it's a playism robot Armored Core style thing with stylish looking.
That highly similar style of robots.
Highly stylish, similar style of robots, but in a much more clean and like speed boosty
looks like a
environment.
Fucking Unreal Engine map editor.
It looks really slick. And I remember seeing, this is Break Arts 3. So yeah, I remember seeing stuff. I want to say stuff from like the first or the second game a while ago. But you're not really about, it's racing more than it is about the fighting. You're like boosting down tracks and drifting around corners, but you happen to have awesome fucking mech designs that you can customize and build on and stuff. Super cool if you want more robot action, but I mean, again, everyone's hands should be full. But yeah, trailer for
There's
that.
So much
full
action. There's so much. happening now. It's too much.
Anything else of note going down? You interested in getting into? I'm sure over the course of the last 2 weeks there must have been one or two things that
not really. It's been I mean we're gonna.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's just one shizillion video game happen.
Yeah. The Scott Pilgrim trailer was pretty awesome. It looks really good. I'm very excited to see that.
I can't wait for the third or fourth run at people acting like they're deep because they're like, Scott Pilgrim's like a bad person, you know.
It's cool that it's cool that like while having a fun live action version and having the original books, there's now a harmonious fusion of the best of both worlds coming together on that with the Anamanaguchi soundtrack. That's awesome. There's the I mean, Mortal Kombat 1, I don't have much to say until I actually get my hands on it, so you won't hear any impressions until then. Guilty Gear showed off we talked about Johnny last week actually, because post Evo cast we discussed everything there. So yeah, I'm gonna get my hands on MK and then see what's up. But I definitely didn't have a ton of time to check out the betas, unfortunately. It is interesting to see the characters being like, all the ninjas are just like it feels like they're going for like almost like a Dawson's Creek style cast of like young hot boys, coming through. Reptile is the young kind of a couple of dateable archetypes that you would see in a Mortal Kombat visual novel are all the ninjas.
Reptile, you used to be the last of your people. That made you sad. What's your new version that Liu Kang made you? Oh, your people are totally fine, but they think you're a fucking freak because you can look like a regular human. Wow, Reptile can't catch a fucking break.
Nope. Don't you want to date him?
Yes.
Yeah. Dateable ninjas seems to be the deal. The outcast. Anyway, so I'll see what's going on with that. There were some leaks, and then Harada was like, "Aha! But we have tricked you, for we have calculated your leaks, and we will be identifying the leaker and jumping on stream and yelling at them to shut it down." No, I assume that whatever wild power trippy thing Harada is going on about is we'll see soon. But the leaks for Mortal Kombat 1, apparently there's insane heavy spoilers that are in the story mode to reveal stuff, so people are
whatever distracts people from the terrible gameplay.
I'm hoping.
The story's gonna be so crazy. Yeah. Don't play it. Don't think about it.
Hey, if the gameplay is the best Mortal Kombat has ever been,
then maybe it'll be as good as one of the worst Street Fighters.
Then I think I can have some fun with that.
Oh, hell yeah. Finally, a Mortal Kombat game as good as Street Fighter EX Alpha Plus. Woo!
Plus A.
Wow, my mistake.
Shit. No, I saw like a video of like, I think it was it Kenshi doing like a crouching kick where like his leg kind of like inverts upward doing a low kick, and you're like, God damn it, NetherRealm. Can you just get a person in a mocap suit to actually do the low kick instead of just? I really
think
they're back to it.
It says a lot that Bethesda's terrible animation has been like dethroned as the most made fun of animation around. That Mortal Kombat and that goddamn kick that Terminator does, it's free in my mind. Like, God, it's a fucking fighting game. All it's got is the character on the screen.
But yeah, no, it's This is one of those cases though where like almost like the opposite of how we were describing Jet Set Radio earlier, where it's like here's all the aesthetics and all that, and then you're like, oh, okay, but how's the gameplay? And in this case, it's like when you're looking at the jankiness of the animation and all that shit, it's like, yeah, but as the series has been going on, this is becoming more and more of a fun fighting game to play. It legitimately has been figuring that out. I hope you like getting Cetrioned, but in the meantime, the way that it kind of came together has been slowly improving, and I hope they commit to the idea of the 2v2 thing. I think it'll be interesting. I also though yeah. There's another discussion here to be had about where Project L is going and what that will be like when you're gonna actually have duos as a part of the like competitive tournament aspect, and you're gonna be like, hey, I want to get into this game, or I want to whatever, and then you're gonna have somebody that you can play with that can either show you the ropes, or like the entire you can blame / get carried by somebody in a fighting game. I'm gonna be curious to see how that affects the psyche of winning and losing, and if it resembles the way it does in every other genre where you're forced to team up with other people. Will it feel good to have your friend just double perfect the opponent and you did nothing, but you get those league points? And then, will it feel worse to have you get switched in and then you lead to you guys invariably losing? Is the carry going to feel worse than or better than you being the one responsible, and the toxicity that comes from the person on mic going, for the love of God, you had fucking burst. What is wrong with you?
I think you should be able to report your opponents for feeding. Because it's like the ultimate bad manners where you win and you're like, fuck, dude, why are you feeding? Okay.
Right.
You're like, no, I was trying really hard. No, you weren't. You were feeding. You were
sandbagging. You weren't playing. Right,
yeah, you weren't even trying. Come on.
Yeah. All right, let's take some letters.
Hey, if you want to send in a letter, send it to castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. That's castlesuperbeastmail@gmail.com. You might send in a good letter, or you might send in this letter.
Damn. Here's one coming in from... Wait, where'd it go? What the... No, that's the wrong one. Ah, yes. Okay, combat in CRPGs after Disco. Hey, Wooly and Dad Stares At. Been following you guys for a while and decided to see if one of my impressions of Baldur's Gate resonated with you. I know, especially Pat, as he's been into this game. All right, this goes on for a bit, but the TLDR, as someone who dislikes CRPG's combat systems, I know that Disco's magic is hard to recapture, but do you think it'll become a trend to develop more dialogue-driven games that focus on writing without resorting to combat so easily, instead of expanding classic CRPGs to modern times and adding more dialogue and character development as a supplemental factor to combat?
Absolutely not.
I don't think I think if that stuff was going to pick up and become the new trend, so to speak, it would have already happened, right?
Writing is hard.
It is very hard.
Writing is the hardest part.
And we stand there and we point at shit where the writing is really good as an example, and you hold it up and it becomes that one example for years until one other example comes years later. But there is always few and few and few examples of that. And Disco we're going to point at and be like, wow, look how fucking good that writing is, until the one other thing comes along. But that also is the result of, again, a wild freak accident of that game coming together with a writer being willing to put that work in, of course, and come at it backwards. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see this because it also doesn't always translate into AAA, quadruple A sales, you know? We appreciate it as people who are close to the industry that are following releases, but like, does your average, you know, random person going to Walmart to pick up the latest Madden give a fuck about how good the writing in Disco is? Until they do, you're not going to see this become a bigger trend, I don't think. No.
No, you will not.
But whenever a really talented writer is willing to sit and fucking bleed their brain into a video game script and go above and beyond, then we can appreciate those moments when they do happen. But they'll be far and few in between. And usually, if someone does really well, then by the time the sequel has to come out, it has to be turned around in such a fast time that the forces of industry and bullshit will fuck it up anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know the deal. All right, here's one coming in.
Most game writers aren't alcoholic enough to write more games like Disco Elysium.
I mean, lives must be destroyed in the process of making this kind of game. So, when someone's willing to go that far, we'll see it.
Like, being an alcoholic doesn't make you a better artist, but being an alcoholic definitely makes you a better version of that type of artist because you're writing about pathetic loserness.
It's the video game equivalent of the cop that is too good at his job, so his personal life is a fucking mess.
Mm-hmm. Write what you know.
You got to find someone that's like, you know, able to hone that craft to the detriment of everything in their personal lives.
Some dumbass in the chat says you can't have true art without suffering, which is an overt lie, but you definitely can't have true art about suffering without suffering.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so this one comes in from Iron Rank Marissa, an isekai specialist, says, hello, explanations the length of light novel titles and the man who got isekai to Vancouver. Capcom should have known better than to translate footsies wrong. I don't expect people to get isekai right, but I still would like people to have the right definition over the wrong one. But some interesting context first. The reason why many isekai and not isekai stories feel the same is because they're written under the same algorithms that promote similar feeling stories. It's also why the titles are often longer. To get to the top, it's better to have a longer title, just like putting red circles on a YouTube thumbnail helps the video. The term for these similar feeling stories is naru, which is from the site Shosetsuka ni Naro, where these stories are self-published and hopefully get picked up by a bigger publisher, as if your amateur YouTube video could become a full TV series. There's a discussion to be had over how systems like algorithms force a particular kind of story outside of an author's control. So, about what was said in a slop stream, an isekai describes a setting in which is narrower than just entering another space. And there are other terms for Narnia or Sword Art Online types of settings, like the debate if Smash is a fighting game or whether an edge case is an isekai or not is interesting. But a shorthand definition is if the original world could blow up and the isekai would remain unaffected, it's an isekai. Diluting isekai to include the Matrix or time travel stories makes the term no longer useful. That first part is pretty interesting there because that explains so much about why those dumb long titles became such a trendy thing. If you're thinking about this is because it's a public forum and people are submitting their short stories and people are upvoting what gets popular and that rises to the top and it has to grab your attention in the middle of a sea of too many things to get published and to get funding, then of course the titles have to be overly descriptive, really long, and like catch your attention with the dumbest possible concept to make you go, what the fuck is that? I'm gonna click on it. So it's
I was always under the impression that isekai titles were so long and absurd is because they're actually escapist pornography, and they follow Japanese pornography naming conventions, which are all overly detailed and absurd.
But you can still have a world with all those things in it and give it like just a title, like a thing that represents something interesting about the story or so. But
no, because you're competing with 400 other completely identical stories.
But that's the point. That's the point. The fact that it has to compete with those in a forum where you have to get attention, the attention economy directly determines your success, is like, yes, it's the red circle, it's the arrow, it's the titties, it's the reaction Mr. Beast face, right? That's what that title is. Like, oh, some again, like picking up girls in the dungeon, but also I'm a vending machine, and my little sister is a slime, the cutest of all. You know, like it's like, yeah, that right. You said all these things, and one of those things is going to make someone go, what the fuck? I'm going to click on that. What is that about? Jesus, it I hate it, but it finally answers that question. All right.
I feel like the longer your title is, the less faith you have in its own core appeal.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I mean, the more bullshit thumbnail tricks you roll out, the less faith you have in your content. The more you have to, you know, it is what it is. If you have to rely on grossing people out with whatever they see or confusing them, then you know it's.
By the way, come to my stream on Wednesday. I'm going to eat 100 pieces of cheese. I'm not going to eat 100 pieces of cheese. Should I? That's too much cheese.
Mm-hmm. The difficulty, of course, is that a bad thumbnail can make a good video do fucking terribly, underperform because it was not interesting enough, you know? So, what was it? I saw there was a description of someone was breaking down how there's the term I think they used was like truth bait versus clickbait or something like that, where it's like, okay, I want like it's like a thumbnail to talk about like, oh, dropping a basketball from the top of a dam or whatever, and it's like, okay, like this thumbnail of the basketball and looks like it's falling from high. Like this is literally what the video is about. So you are interested in seeing that. Therefore, this thumbnail is not lying to you about anything. It is emphasizing what it needs to get your attention by highlighting the ball and, you know, whatever, so that you can scroll past and see what it is. But you get exactly what you came for versus the type of thumbnail where it literally is like, no, the thing on the thumbnail never happened. That reaction face never occurred.
Reminds me of your description of truth bait makes me think of what used to be called a single serving site, right? Mm-hmm. A single serving site was the my favorite ever was isdmxinjail.com.
Right. Yes.
Where you would go to that website to find out if DMX was in jail right now, and it would tell you yes or no. And it told you yes a lot.
Right.
I told you yes a lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
but that
not
moved
anymore.
on to single-serving YouTube channels, single-serving Twitter accounts, single-serving Instagram or TikTok accounts. Like I follow a TikTok account that is literally somebody rolls glass bottles like down a flight of stairs and sees if they make it to the bottom of the staircase. And it has no dialogue and it has no talking. And sometimes the wine glass makes it to the bottom, and you're like, yeah!
Sick.
But it makes me think of, like, Twitter and Instagram specifically, like, have, like, millions of, like, gimmick accounts. Like, nature music, and every day it's nature music. Or bad recipe, right? And that's the account, and it's, like, every single day. And every single time, it's like it's invariable that like after a little while, the person who runs the account like hops on it to start telling you who you should vote for.
Yeah.
And you're like, I am never following this shit again.
God
Fuck
damn it,
you.
DJ Professor K.
I don't even live in that country, man.
All I wanted was funky beats. And now I gotta hear your Vax opinions. Fuck.
It sucks so fucking bad. It's awful. Here's the GoFundMe for my friend's race car build. Okay, unfollow.
They're not used to the attention. They got some success and they're like, oh shit, everyone's paying attention. I got a platform now. Here's what DJ Professor K really needs to tell y'all about. You know, the cops are out there and they're trying to stop you from tagging, and you're the GGs, but you can't be tagging.
Hey, guess what?
And
let's use an example. I just went
during these lockdowns
X.com and I typed in scrub quotes. And first of all, I guess scrub quotes follows me now. That's cool. But second of all, what do I see when I look at scrub quotes? I see a Reddit post. If I match up against a Guile, I will Alt F4 on the loading screen. He is a completely broken character. I scroll one more time. Mod to avoid certain character on the Tekken 7 Steam forum.
Oh, yeah.
0 interest to fight Xiao Yu or Lei.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Great. That's what I want. It's why I follow this account. Fucking great. Scrub quotes. Good job.
One of the best of all time trolls was someone posting on Steam going, every tournament is a scam, is a secretly a crypto scam, because these games are beep boop coin flip fighters, and the concept of being good in a fighting game is literally impossible. It's only 50%.
That's fucking great.
It can only ever be 50%. So this is all a scam.
That's fucking great. I love that.
Oh god. Anyway, all right, here. Last one. Dear Daddy and Daddy. Wow. Damn.
I don't care for that.
I'll take it. I like it. That's not bad. I just finished streaming Etrian Odyssey 1. The game was a lot of fun, even if the HD remaster could use more quality of life features. While playing the game, one thing that really struck me was the lack of story. The game feels more akin to a D&D game with a lot of actual, where a lot of the actual stories in quick bursts that are spread out, whereas the moment-to-moment stuff is just things you happen to come across. When the game was first reimagined as Etrian Odyssey, Untold for the 3DS a decade ago, one of the new features was the addition of a real story mode. As I played it, I asked my chat who had played Untold and how certain moments and plot threads were expanded upon. One of them in the original game was the Forest Folk, a group of animal humans who made a peace pact with the humans of the past to give them to leave their territory alone. The deeper you get, the more resistance you face from the tribe. Ultimately, you break said pact, killing many of them, and you continue exploring the labyrinth. The tribe gives up, yada yada, so on and so forth. The game frames what you're doing as wrong, and the only reason why you do it is because you're forced to by the chief of a village, who's later revealed to be a villain. Okay, this goes on and on and on and on, but the point seems...
Stop for a second.
Okay.
Stop it! One paragraph! We're reading these live on air! Stop it! Stop writing 2,000-3,000 word emails! Well, he's just gonna skip everything past the second paragraph anyway! What are you doing?
What are some games that added story in later releases that just completely fucks up the point of the original?
It's a decent question. I would say every fighting game of
Context, context, and content. Yeah.
Some people are saying Siege of Dragonspear. I haven't played Siege of Dragonspear, but I don't understand what the fuck you could possibly be doing in between Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. Like, it's a real direct jump.
Okay. Hey, Pat. Think of Luca
That
now think of Luca. Now think of Luca holding a baby.
See, this is I immediately froze up because I'm like, but Luca is a baby. Because I thought of Luca from Wonderful 101 first.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Yeah, you know, there's the. I mean, it's not a full recontextualization, but it's throwing in the little extra cutscene on the end of Chrono Trigger 3DS that might link.
Oh my God, you're talking about Chrono Trigger?
Link it to a Chrono Cross. For anyone out there that appreciates that.
Oh God, I thought I was wrong because you were talking about Bayonetta's Luca.
No.
And Cereza.
Not quite. Not quite. Lincoln triggered across.
Hey, you know all your friends and those heroes that saved everything? They got killed off screen by some fucking mid-boss fucking idiot. And they're all dead.
For legal reasons. You know.
For legal reasons.
It's for legal reasons. What are we supposed to do?
Fucking the actual worst ever.
Hey, man, they're running around as blurry little children that you can talk to. All right? You can talk to alternate time blurry versions of them. They're still there.
I don't know what that means.
You see the original trio at one point in one of the Dream State things. Anyway.
And they're fine because they're existing out of time. Chrono Cross can go die. How about that?
Banger battle theme.
Fuck off.
Can't take that away. I don't care who you are.
Everyone's been wrong about that for decades.
It's so good. It's so good. Yeah.
Man, somebody in the chat said Alien 3. Oh, you're so right. Alien 3 fucking ruins the ending of Aliens. Hey, Hicks and Newt and Bishop, we all got out. No, they died in the crash. So that Sigourney Weaver can act as Ripley alone, and they don't have to get them back for
Okay, going into movies is a little different in the sense that that's just like a shitty thing where a sequel will hand wave a point from a previous thing that kind of ruins it. I'm thinking more of like a re-release of the original thing that puts an extra thing in there.
Oh, okay, that's your thing.
Do you know what I mean? That was not there before, that now kind of fucks it up and or makes the context really weird by adding the extra stupid thing. I wouldn't even count FF7 Remake because the goal of that game seems to be more than just remaking it. Right?
That's a whole different thing. People are saying Star Wars, and boy, yeah, no, Star Wars has some weird nonsense with that.
The answer is Star Wars. That's true. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody.
Wait, they all knew each other? Like Darth Vader is like on the Death Star, and he's like, there's my old master, my old droid, my other old droid, my son, the princess of the Wookiee that was friends with Yoda.
Hey,
and
man.
Some guy.
At the same time, lest anyone forgets, Jabba the Hutt used to be a human being.
Yeah, he used to be a human. He used to be a guy who kind of looked like me.
Jabba used to just be a chubby dude.
Just kind of like a schlubby-looking guy going, hey, you know what you're doing, Han.
So Jabba is a patch as well. It's not just about stepping on his tail and making shit weird. He was just some guy.
Do people not know this?
You don't know. Go look it up. The original theatrical release of A New Hope had the scene where Han is talking to Jabba the Hutt, and he's just some fat gangster.
He's just some guy.
He only became an alien later on, and then the fucking the redo, and then the re-release, and then the extra bullshit was added in. But if you didn't know, now you know. Go check that shit out. It was weird. And Jabba's great, obviously. So
he's a big slug man. He loves crime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how a race of gigantic, disgusting slug men somehow became the de facto leaders of all crime, because it looks like Jabba can like barely feed himself.
So
like, what influence is he like using to even tell people what to do?
So the deleted scene bit. Again, might be wrong. I was told that the theatrical original release of the movie had that scene in it, and it was changed later.
Yeah, so every version of Star Wars is different, and
People
they're all
went to the
terrible.
theater and saw that version of the movie with that human Jabba in it. Is that not the case?
No, I believe it was a deleted scene, but regardless, the original version was some dude.
Okay.
The best version of Star Wars is the unspecialized version. By far. That's the one you should watch.
All right. Just looking it up. Yeah.
Well, that clip of me all yelling at people about their emails is already on the subreddit. Do you think it'll affect the emails? No. No, it will not.
Never. Why would it?
Can we get like a fucking email about like what do you put on your hot dog? Just some real banal shit. I put ketchup and a slice of cheese on my hot dog.
Cheese, mayo, and some onions.
You like onions?
I like onions.
I could go for some onions on a hot dog, but not too much onions. Onions is a strong flavor on a hot dog.
It's very strong, but like, what's the tier list of onion preparation, right? Because there's fried
onions. Yeah.
See, there's fried, there's caramelized, then there's raw. I actually
raw
like
onions on a hot dog is for psychos. You're insane.
I like raw. You're
crazy.
I got used to the tang of raw as a kid, and I really enjoy it. Right? I do straight up enjoy raw onions. They're it's a fun, extra strong kick. Not
like,
too much.
But
it's great.
I'm not a big mustard fan, but like mustard on a hot dog. If I get the hot dog and it's got mustard, I'm not gonna go ew mustard. I'm gonna go like, yeah, of course there's mustard. It's a hot dog.
Yeah. No. Slice up some fucking onions.
I'll eat it. No.
Dice them properly and just glaze that on top, and it really adds a
local
flavor.
Hot dog place fucking ran out of hot dogs.
That's
and I'm
crazy.
Fucking so pissed about it. I went to go get hot dogs at them the other day, and they're like, "Sorry, dude, we just got burgers. We ran out of hot dogs. We actually like sold like a fucking shit ton of hot dogs last week. We're out." And I'm like, I came here for a fucking kosher hot dog like that. I want a kosher hot dog, please. And they're like, we have no kosher hot dogs.
If your bun is bigger than the dog, get that shit out of here, please. Get that shit out of here. The dog needs to be sticking out, needs to be bigger than the bun, resting inside. And
at least a little. At least a little.
You know, and it needs to be decent enough structurally so that, like, when you put the toppings on, the bottom doesn't fucking split apart because there's no integrity to it.
Oh, fuck off.
And then you're just holding a halfway sandwich with 2 slices. Put some fucking integrity to your goddamn bun, please. But don't overdo it by just taking a piece of French bread and slicing it down the middle.
No, don't do that either.
Terrible.
Just toast the bun. A little.
You know what? That was a good email. Good job,
I want to have a hot dog I don't have anywhere I can get a hot dog now.
We got Steam A's. We got Steam A's right around. I think
nobody out here. I asked for a steamed hot dog, and I got looked at like I was a psycho. I did not know that Steamies were like a fucking Quebec thing. I thought that was like a regular hot dog thing.
It is an exclusively... Well, not even... It's a Quebec thing, but it's an East Coast thing. because the Quebecers that go to Ontario and Nova Scotia carry with them the traditions. So, anyways, all right.
How do you make steamies? You steam the hot dog. What do you fucking like? What kind of a weird question is that?
There's an episode called the Montreal Steamy. You've heard it. It's from barely a month or two ago. Fuck off. You know, like, what is a steamy? We just did this material. You already heard this bit. Why are you pretending you didn't hear this bit?
Material? So what is this? Your tight fucking 350?
It was not a year ago. Fuck off. It must have been like it was this summer. Yeah. It's called the Montreal Steamy.
I don't know when
episode 216
anymore.
Uploaded April 25th. Fuck off. We just did this bit.
Wooly, April 25th was 4 years ago.
Okay, go away, everybody.